Chapter 381. With a splash, a big watermelon was pulled out of the well. Li Sun struggled to carry it to the table under a big tree by the roadside. He picked up the knife next to him and stabbed it hard. With a crack, a big hole appeared in the middle of the watermelon, and 2 black seeds flew out from it. After a few more cuts, the whole watermelon was divided into pieces. Zhang Xiaobao picked up 2 pieces first, handed one to Wang Wan and took a bite. Sweet. There is nothing in it. A normal ripe watermelon is really sweet. As he spoke, Zhang Xiaobao looked up and breathed out. He looked very comfortable. Wang Wan also took a big bite, and the red juice was on both sides of her mouth. She narrowed her eyes with satisfaction and said, "Finally, there is nothing in it. It is really delicious. It is cool and thirst-quenching. Our shaved ice can also be made into a watermelon flavor." Li Sun, on the other hand, was eating much more quietly. She took small bites when she heard Xiaobao and Wang Wan's conversation. Puzzled, she asked Xiaobao, "Could it be that there's something else that can be put into this cold melon?" "Yes, you can put sugar or something red. Take it off in advance and cover it with a quilt. We don't need to eat this. You should have a lot of it at home, right? Tomorrow bring 2 carts here. When we finish eating this melon, don't throw away the skin and seeds. You can still cook them." It was not easy for Zhang Xiaobao to eat a melon, especially the first melon. It was memorable. He was going to mix the green part of the melon skin into a cold dish. Li Sun hesitated for a moment. "This melon has been bitten by others. Isn't it a little bad to make a dish out of it? Cut off the bitten part first and make a cold dish with the rest. Put some sugar and vinegar in it. It is sweet and sour. If you don't want to eat it, don't fight with us." After Zhang Xiaobao said this, he continued to eat one piece after another, not caring if he would get a stomachache. He only stopped when he couldn't eat anymore. He rubbed his stomach back and forth, occasionally burping. Wang Wan also ate a lot. Fortunately, when she saw Zhang Xiaobao's appearance, she controlled herself in advance and didn't eat too much. She put down the melon rind in her hand, washed her face and hands in the prepared basin next to her, and said loudly to the people on the road who were shouting slogans, "Train well. When you're done, I'll give you some melons. I'll use the melons from Well Town. Just one bite and it'll be sweet to your heart." It would have been better if she didn't shout, as the 56 people could hold on. Once she finished shouting, Wuxia among the 56 people couldn't stand it anymore. He had been shouting slogans just now and wanted to follow them. His throat was already smoking. When he heard that there would be melons to eat, he felt that the sun above his head was bigger, his feet were heavier, and it was more difficult to breathe. This was already the 5th training. It had been 5 days in a row. At first, they thought it would be easy to get through it, but they were exhausted on the first day. In the following days, the requirements were stricter and the weather was hotter and hotter. Before they could become instructors, people from Elm Village came to report. They hadn't practiced well, so they couldn't be instructors. They could only train with 40 people. Wuxia was in charge of shouting slogans. They had already been walking for 2 hours today, and they still hadn't stopped. Everyone was on the verge of collapsing, and their clothes were already soaked. However, their walking movements were not standard. When she shouted to turn left, 1/3 of the people actually turned in the wrong direction, which made Wang Wan very dissatisfied. Therefore, she let them drink some mung bean porridge and practice for an hour. Only then could they rest for a while. Now, Wang Wan was still shouting for them to eat watermelon. They all felt that their hearts were about to burst into flames. Li Sun was also watching from the side. He really couldn't understand what Wang Wan was doing. This training idea was Wang Wan's, and she was also the one who asked them to do those movements. In Li Sun's opinion, these movements were worse than the drill of soldiers. They weren't wearing any armor or holding any weapons. They were just walking back and forth. It seemed like they couldn't train soldiers. With doubts in his heart, Li Sun wiped his hands with a handkerchief and asked Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, "You want to train soldiers? You can't use this method. It's useless. When it comes to war, these people don't even know how to use weapons. What army? It's just making them stand in a line. It'll look interesting and tidy. When the time comes, they'll just go out and support the scene. There's no war. If there's a war, we won't be needed. We're far away from the places where we can fight." Zhang Xiaobao naturally wouldn't tell Li Sun that these people would be specially used to protect the Zhang family and Wang family in the future. This kind of training now wasn't to train combat strength, but to cultivate cohesion and a firm attitude towards carrying out orders. At the same time, it could also cultivate willpower. He just casually explained. If it was someone else who said this, Li Sun would have believed it. But since it was Xiaobao who said it, he had to carefully ponder over it. He suspected that there were traces of an expert behind these people's training. If that was the case, then there must be a deeper meaning behind it. It seemed that he had to learn from this. Thinking of this, he asked, just these orders? Are there any that haven't been given? I'll go there and let people practice for fun. When the time comes, let's see if all the people I'm training can leave together or if all your people are orderly. Oh, young Master Li also wants to learn. Okay, then we'll have a competition. There are also some commands that can't be taught now. They haven't figured out these commands yet. If I teach them too many, they'll be even more confused. Later, I'll write down some commands and draw pictures for you. How's our supermarket? The supermarket in Huayuan County hasn't been repaired yet. It's still being repaired. When we came back, we took a look at Sanshui County. They've already started delivering goods. You passed by here, did you go in to take a look? Yes, don't mention it. It opened yesterday and I went to take a look. Taking advantage of the competition, there were indeed many people who went in. Every one of them looked fresh. The rich people also bought some things. But there was actually an ordinary person's family. I saw her going to the butcher's place and buying 1 or 2 grams of meat at a time. This is nothing. We can sell it for 1 tael. When other people buy things, they usually wrap it in oil paper and give a paper bag at the end for convenience. She actually bought half a kilogram of meat consecutively. Every time it was 1 tael. Not only did she use 10 pieces of oil paper and 10 hemp ropes, she even took 10 bags from the supermarket. What's the meaning of this? What's the use of torturing others? In the end, I sent someone to ask. You can't even guess the reason why she took those paper bags. She said she was going home to give it to her son to practice calligraphy. She came here to get paper. Li Sun was a little depressed as he talked about the situation in the supermarket. In addition to the person who bought half a kilogram of meat in 10 portions, there were some people who were selling other things. For example, when buying rice, there were some people who were very careful. There were even people who wanted to steal things when there were so many people. Fortunately, they arranged some people to follow others in pretending to buy things. They also put people in key places to watch. There was a scholar who was caught stealing sausages. He insisted that he brought them in himself. What was more infuriating was that there were people who didn't take the sausages out. They just ate the sausages secretly. Zhang Xiaobao was originally not confident in his heart. After listening to Li Sun's words, he thought for a while and said, "It seems that we have to change the rules. In the future, the paper bags will be more exquisite. We will sell them for 1 copper coin each. If there are people who really want to buy something and don't have a basket, they can buy it for 1 copper coin. As for the other people who go in and out 10 times, if they want to buy, they have to bring their own tools. At most, we will give them 2 pieces of oil paper. There is no need to think about the paper bags. There are also some places to eat. Send more people there. If they want to buy something, they can just pay there. As for those who bring things in themselves, catch them. It's not like there is no place to deposit them." Deposit? Don't even mention deposit. There are many people who don't want to buy anything. They just want to go in and see something new. In the end, they bring a live chicken to the deposit place. It's not easy to control them at all. We can't put a few chicken cages in the deposit place, right? Then what if someone drives a pig here? Li Sun was also very dissatisfied with the deposit situation. Zhang Xiaobao was speechless for a while. He could only sigh at those people's valiance. Wang Wan said at the side, "In the future, there will be a rule that no living things are allowed to be deposited. When they are deposited, they don't care if the things are spoiled or not. At most, they will be allowed to be stored for a day. If it is more than a day, it will be treated as if the depositor doesn't want it anymore and the supermarket will deal with it. Otherwise, if someone deposits a kilogram of tofu and leaves it for a few days and doesn't come to pick it up, won't it become stinky tofu?" Wang Wan is right. We can't do it all at once. If there is a problem, we will think of a way to solve it. We will find more people to discuss it. When the time comes, we will be able to build the supermarket. What about the shipping company? Zhang Xiaobao also had the idea of dealing with some things that might happen. Li Sun only sighed. They couldn't tear down the supermarket. The things inside were cheap. Yesterday he saw many people queuing up to buy things. Whether it was for the picture's novelty or a real need, it was fine to just buy it. When people gradually got used to this place, they could come to buy things in the future. Hearing Zhang Xiaobao ask about the ship business, he was no longer as gloomy as before. He said happily, I found a few more people who were willing to do business with us. After Mi Fan was released, I took care of the ship business. I even sent a few people who were good at making ships to do some work at the shipyard you guys were at. The big ship has already started to be built. Based on the speed, it will be able to enter the sea next summer. We can't go too far now. We can only go around the place where the Yellow River enters the sea. Then don't worry. Remember to bring Mi Fan along when you go out to sea. If you find that he is uncomfortable, then the people on the ship have to be careful. Are there many people who went to sign up for the 3 workshops and the craftsman school to cooperate with them? Are there many people who came from outside? Zhang Xiaobao was preparing to do something big. He was afraid that he would be tied down by other things. He could only ask one by one to see if there was anything else that he needed to handle personally. Chapter 382. Speaking of boats, Zhang Xiaobao suddenly thought of something. He asked Li Sun, what do boats look like now? Do you have a ship with wheels? Wheels? Why do boats have wheels? Li Sun didn't understand. It means that as long as there are wheels, the ship can move forward, backward, and turn, Zhang Xiaobao added. No, there are sails and oars. Who would use wheels? It's not like we're on land. Don't tell me you want to put a few wheels on the boat and use horses to pull it like a carriage when we're on land? A small boat is fine, but a big boat is too heavy. If it's dragged on the ground, the axle will be crushed. You have to make more or less wheels. Li Sun thought Zhang Xiaobao was bored and came up with this idea. He used a melon to draw what would happen if he wanted to put wheels on the boat. Zhang Xiaobao also picked up a melon skin and pointed to the side. You see the bicycle Cuckoo I have, right? If we put big wheels on both sides of the boat like a water wheel, and there are people inside who step on the axle like a bicycle, then the boat can move. Li Sun looked and thought about it. He nodded and said, it's possible, but it's useless. With oars and sails, how can the boat be slower than wheels? After putting wheels, it won't be easy to use oars, right? It'll be fun to make. Fun? How can it be fun? What do you think is the most important thing in a water battle? When both sides have the same number of people, the same weapons, the same commanding generals, and the same combat abilities, what will decide the outcome? That's right. That's right. That's right. Zhang Xiaobao finally thought of a revolutionary idea. How could he give up? He continued to persuade Li Sun. Li Sun was stumped by this question. If everything was the same, then what would determine the outcome? Is it luck? While the two sides were fighting on the water, the sky was covered with dark clouds. A big lightning bolt fell and hit the boat of one of the generals, setting the boat on fire. The general was burned to death, or jumped into the water and couldn't command. Then he lost. Would it be better to use a wheeled boat? Li Sun thought for a while but couldn't figure it out. He could only attribute it to luck. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan laughed almost at the same time. Li Sun was really too humorous, and he even smashed down a big thunder. Why don't you just say which side the heavens don't like? Wouldn't it be better to just stretch out a hand from the heavens and crush them to death? Formations are not allowed in water battles. Is it easy for a boat to turn on the water? A small boat was easy, but a large ship wouldn't be so easy, right? Using a wheeled boat, not only can it turn quickly, it can even turn from forward to backward at the critical moment. Think about it. When a ship is charging towards the fleet, it suddenly speeds up, or the other party uses a trick to lure it to the front. When the other ships are about to surround it, this ship that should have circled around to make a turn suddenly stops and starts to retreat. What do you think the consequences will be? Zhang Xiaobao told Li Sun a situation that would happen on the battlefield. Then wouldn't the other party have wasted their efforts? Moreover, that part of the formation will be disrupted and readjusted. This time it will be fatal. Li Sun finally understood Zhang Xiaobao's meaning and said in shock. Not only that, there's also turning. As long as one wheel doesn't turn and the other wheel turns, the boat should be able to turn on the spot and move however it wants. It's very flexible. You can get someone to figure out a rough frame and make it into a small boat. When the small boat is ready on the water, you can make a big one. First, make one for my family. It's best if you can make it quickly so that my father can use it when he goes out to take up a post. Zhang Xiaobao made a turning motion with his hand to show the watermelon peel to Li Sun to see clearly. Li Sun kept nodding. He no longer had the expression of thinking that Zhang Xiaobao had nothing better to do. He was now shocked. When he understood the mobility of this boat, he understood how useful it would be in water battles. It wasn't necessary to say that all boats were like this. The original warships could weave in and out of water battles with this wheeled boat, making it impossible to guard against. Such an important matter was not something he could manage. He had to tell his father first and then let his father do it. Thinking of this, Li Sun said to Zhang Xiaobao, "Xiaobao, even if that boat is made, I may not give it to your family. If your boat is stolen and learn to make it, then will our country still have the advantage on the water?" Stolen and learned? As long as this kind of boat is made, people will know. Can you make everyone on this boat keep their mouth shut? If you don't give it to my family, I won't tell you the changes later. There are still good things later. Zhang Xiaobao didn't think that there was anything to keep secret about this boat. As long as it was made, someone would test it and equip it in the army. Ordinary people might not care about this, but countries with intentions would definitely know. If they really wanted to learn to make it, they would be able to make it after thinking about it for a while. The key to this boat wasn't the technology, but the thinking. As for people stealing his family's boat, his family wouldn't go to the sea. Who could steal in Great Tang? How could they leave after stealing? The boat had to be on water. He was determined to get this boat. Li Sun didn't know whether to agree or not, especially after what Zhang Xiaobao said. He had already attributed the boat's matter to that expert. He felt that the expert must have told Zhang Xiaobao and asked Zhang Xiaobao to tell him. A few days ago, the Minister of Works came and took the Book of Nature away. It seemed that the expert had a lot of skills in this area. "Xiaobao, I can't agree to this directly. I'll go back in a while and give me a copy of your training. To be honest, this boat might not be built in our shipyard. Both the Ministry of War and the Ministry of Works will have ideas on this. They'll build theirs and we'll build ours. Maybe we'll be done before they do. It's best to find some boats first and try to see if they can be modified. My family needs it urgently. Remember to add a wheel at the stern of the boat. It'll be faster. Can you find more good steel? If you can, send it to my family. It's useful." When Xiaobao thought about the wheels at the back, he thought of the fans in his restaurant. The fans had low requirements and there was no need to worry about the parts breaking. There was a power conversion process between the gears and the shaft. If the conversion was done well, one rotation on one side could result in many rotations on the other side. If it was used at the back of the ship, if the wheel was replaced with a propeller, what would the speed be like by using manpower to transmit and change the force? No matter what, it would be better than the wheel directly. If one wanted to make a propeller, they needed good steel. It didn't need to be big enough to directly push a big boat forward, as long as it could be used to assist. They could use the casting method to make the balls of the bearings. As long as it could withstand one battle, it would be enough. At worst, they could change it. Li Sun didn't know why Zhang Xiaobao wanted good steel, but he knew that anything the Zhang family wanted must be useful. Maybe they could make something that could scare people to death. After thinking for a while, he said, "I don't have enough. I'll ask someone to find out when I go back. Right now we're using coal and the iron we make is not bad. If it really doesn't work, I'll ask someone to refine the iron a few more times and see if we can get the kind that your family wants. That needs to be done as soon as possible. Cuckoo and I will go and get the training material for you. You eat first and I'll give it to you later." Zhang Xiaobao's purpose was achieved. He walked back to the yamen with Wang Wan. Before leaving, he didn't forget to tell the training people to disperse. The 56 people felt like they had been pardoned. They didn't care about the sweat on their bodies, but rushed to the well and began to take out the watermelons. They didn't use knives but directly smashed open with their fists. They put their faces on the watermelon and ate it. When their faces left the watermelon, They wiped it with their hands and shouted to vent the anger in their hearts. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan went back to the yamen and began to tidy up. Wang Wan was responsible for the painting, and Zhang Xiaobao helped to think of a few suitable slogans. The two of them worked for half an hour before they finished. Xiaobao, when we leave here, who will we take with us? Will we take Song Jinggong? There are people watching over here, so who will we leave? Also, you have to make arrangements for the people from the Han family's manor and the Yuan family's manor who joined later. You can't just let the people from the Zhang family's manor have the means to earn money. When the two of them walked back, Wang Wan thought of the two new people from Zhuangzi. They couldn't favor one and discriminate against the other, so she asked Zhang Xiaobao to think of a way. Zhang Xiaobao was also worried about this matter. He couldn't let the two people from Zhuangzi sell roast chicken at the same time. Then what could be a long-term way to make money that the people from Zhuangzi could use? Don't worry, let me think about it. I can't think of anything right now, and there's still some time before my father leaves. Zhang Xiaobao thought hard for a while but finally gave up. When the two of them returned to the tree, Li Sun was fiddling with a few watermelon skins, adjusting the direction back and forth, either forward or backward. It seemed that he was preparing to simulate a naval battle, but he didn't know much about it. Take it. Remember to get someone to send the finished boat to my house first, Zhang Xiaobao said as he handed the paper over to Li Sun. As long as my father agrees, I'll send the boat to your house. I'll go back first and in 2 days I'll buy a house in Huayuan County. When I'm free, I'll come and visit you guys. Li Sun took the paper and said to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. He got into his car and told the driver to speed up towards the pier. He had already decided that he couldn't be too far away from Zhuangzi. Originally, he made a book of nature and now there was a new thing. Maybe more things would appear, so he had to stay here. Chapter 383. Hurry up. Someone, hurry back to the state capital and ask the state capital to send troops and ships to pick us up. All guards, listen to my order. Don't let anyone near us. If anyone tries to force their way in, shoot them to death on the spot. Li Sun, who was sitting in the car, was looking at the training methods. Suddenly, she saw that the last 2 pages were not training methods. Instead, it was a diagram of the wheels. There was also a diagram of the axle connecting the wheels as well as a diagram of the feet. She was so scared that she trembled. She put the paper into her bosom and became nervous. Then she began to give instructions outside. For a moment, he felt that anyone would want to snatch the 2 pieces of paper from him. They were treasures and could not be lost. At the same time, he blamed Zhang Xiaobao. Why did he have to give the paper to him at this time? When he returned, he should have asked more people to protect him. Following Li Sun's order, a rider outside jumped out of the troop and went upstream by land. The other guards took out their crossbows and looked around vigilantly, as if they were facing a great enemy. The journey, which should have taken 4 hours, took less than 2 hours. Li Sun arrived at the dock and boarded his own boat. He also ordered the rowers to go back as fast as possible and raise the sails. The sky gradually darkened. Li Sun had no intention of resting. He asked someone to prepare a meal and ate absent-mindedly. From time to time, he would take out the clairvoyance to see if there were any lights of the restaurant between the clouds and the water ahead. Seeing that it was almost midnight, the clairvoyance finally showed some charming lights. Some were floating in the water, some were twinkling in the sky. The lights in the water were boats, and the ones in the sky were Kongming lanterns. There was a rope tied to the bottom. Every night, it would be lit and floated. After a period of time when the oil inside was almost used up, it would be replaced. Good, as long as we're here. Li Sun saw the lights and was temporarily relieved. He took a handful of pumpkin seeds and ate them. When the boat stopped between the clouds and the water, Li Sun directly jumped onto the shore and asked someone to escort him to the academy. When he arrived, he saw Bai Ho there. "Old Minister Bai, can you lend me your guards for a while? I'll return them to you when I reach Jingshui." Li Sun saw the old man and directly told him his intention. The old man looked at Li Sun and sized him up carefully. "What? Someone wants to harm the little prince? Who is so bold? You can stay here tonight. I'll see who dares to come. Call over the yamen runners who are guarding this place." "Old Minister, I'm afraid I can't let anything happen to me. Otherwise, someone may get something that they shouldn't. Li Sun knew that if she didn't make things clear, the old man wouldn't easily lend them to her. What if he wanted to do something with these people? Left with no other choice, Li Sun simply took out the talisman from his bosom and showed the other two to the old man. Li Sun, on the other hand, was talking about the benefits of such a boat and how useful it could be in a water battle. These were all his thoughts and he wasn't sure if they were correct. At first, the old man was puzzled. He didn't understand when he saw the drawings on the paper. As Li Sun's introduction, the old man suddenly became nervous. He opened his hands and pressed hard on the two papers. He asked Li Sun, where did they come from? Who else knows? Where else could they come from? I went to see Xiaobao and Cuckoo and gave them melons. While eating, Xiaobao asked me if I had a boat with wheels. Then I told him. Then it became like this. On the way back I saw these two drawings. Old minister, you can't just leave me be. I've been on tenterhooks all the way here. I didn't even have a good meal. I can't say whether I'm full or hungry now. Why don't I stay here? Then the yamen runners, you and my guards should be fine. I'll go back when my father sends his soldiers. Li Sun told the old man what had happened. In the end he wanted to stay. He was really afraid that someone would rob him. When the old man heard that it was from the Zhang family, his face calmed down. He said with an expression of foresight, I knew it. Only the Zhang family has this kind of ability. The advantage of this kind of boat is not only for naval battles, but also for transportation. It can be inserted into the dock between other boats and can be withdrawn at any time. Normally, a Tuzhong-wide river can't accommodate a Tuzhong-long boat. If you force it, it will be very difficult to turn around. The bigger the boat, the more troublesome it is. It's not strange for a 50-zhang long boat to turn around in a 50-zhang wide river. If it's a boat like this, it's much easier. It can control the direction at any time. You're going to talk to the prince, aren't you? That's good. When the time comes, the Ministry of Works and the Ministry of War will fight for it. The people from the Military Weapons Administration might also intervene. You can't do that, Doc, in the boat you got later. You'll be criticized on one side. Ah, can't do it? But Xiaobao said that the Zhang family wants one. He said that when the time comes, his father can ride on it when he goes to work. Li Sun was still worried about this matter. The Zhang family came up with the idea and the map. If he didn't let them use it, it didn't seem right. If it was an ordinary family, he would have directly arrested them and sent them to the yamen. They would only be allowed to stay in the permitted areas. They wouldn't have to worry about food and necessities. But who would dare to take the map that the Zhang family took out? Let's not talk about others. I'll be the first to worry about it. How should I get the boat? Li Sun had no choice but to talk to the old man and ask for his help. The old man didn't know what to do. He was also worried. If he didn't give it to the Zhang family this time, would the Zhang family be able to come up with better things in the future? Even if they did, they wouldn't take it out. This was the most important thing. Who knew how many more good things the Zhang family had? Li Sun said again, Old Minister, can you get some good steel? Xiaobao said that he wants it. He has a big use for it. We'll talk about the boat when the time comes. Let's build it first. If it really doesn't work, we can steal one for the Zhang family. I don't believe that the Zhang family will let others snatch the boat away. I'll ask about the steel. There won't be a lot. Think about it. Li Sun's words worked. When the old man heard that there was a big use for it, it must be something good. If they didn't give the boat away, the other party wouldn't take it out. It was useless to be anxious. That kind of person had a bad temper. They could catch others, but not the person behind the Zhang family. It wasn't that they were afraid of what would happen if they caught him. They were afraid that if they didn't catch him, that person would help another country in a fit of anger. Their country would suffer a great loss. Countless prescriptions were taken out and used for the people's livelihood. The clairvoyance that he learned from the nature book could be used in the military. Now the boat was also used in the military. He was almost an all-rounder. Whoever forced him away would be a sinner for eternity. Even if they died 100 times, it wouldn't be enough to atone for their sins. Li Sun had already expected the old man to say this. The Zhang family was a treasure. He had to protect them. Seeing that someone was helping him, his mood improved. Old Minister, Should I travel through the night or stay here tonight? There's no hurry. What's written on the paper in front of you? The old man's hand was still on the 2 pieces of paper. He remembered that Li Sun had taken out a piece of paper earlier. Something fun. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo said that they were training their family's guards. They stood in line and walked. It looked very interesting. They also found 40 people from Elm Village to play with them. They said that it would look good when they went out. I wanted to come and learn from them. It's not that useful. Li Sun put the few pieces of paper in front of the old man. The old man took them and looked at them carefully. He found that they were indeed very simple. Some of the movements had to be neat, and their voices had to be loud when they shouted the slogan. They had to practice for a longer time, stand for a longer time, and the weather was hotter. As long as they didn't make any mistakes, it was fine. For a moment, the old man really felt that Li Sun was right. It was something fun, and it could also make the ceremony look good. Just as the old man was about to put it down, he suddenly froze. He looked at it carefully again and said, "It's not that useful? Would something from the Zhang family be useless?" "Old minister, do you have other opinions?" Li Sun really didn't see anything wrong with it. This isn't training any guards at all. It's clearly training an army. In such hot weather, they can endure not moving at all. They can stand in a neat formation. They can shout the slogan so loudly. Give them MO swords. What do you think they can do when they encounter a battle formation? Finally, the old man discovered something surprising from these playful things. Li Sun originally didn't think about this. At this time, when he heard it, he murmured, "What will they do?" Naturally, the swords will stand like a forest, advancing and retreating according to orders. No wonder they have to turn back, turn left, and turn right. Turns out that they are waiting for this. Fortunately, I am smart. Chapter 384. The water from the river continued to pour into the newly formed lake from the canal. The lake water was not as muddy as it was at the beginning. Rowing a boat on it, one could occasionally see fish swimming in it. 56 people were soaking in the shallow water. Those who knew how to swim swam deeper from time to time, while those who did not know how to swim opened their arms in the water, bobbing up and down. Only their heads were exposed and they looked nervous. When you're in the water, remember, don't think of the water as something that will take your life. You have to be close to it, just like the mighty wind blowing. Feel its existence or treat the water as your friend. Don't ever have any thoughts of fear. You can't avoid swimming. You have to learn everything. When we leave, not only do you know how to swim, you have to be good at it. Even if your legs cramp, you can still float on the water just like Xiao Bao. Even if you tie him up and throw him into the water, he won't sink. He can sleep on the water. Wang Wan stepped on the water with her feet, and her 2 hands were gesturing as she spoke. Her chest was exposed above the water, and if she exerted a little strength with her feet, everything above the navel would be exposed. Zhang Xiaobao lay beside her, put his 2 arms behind his head, and raised his head Weiwei, floating motionlessly. The 56 people in the water quietly listened to Wang Wan's explanation. Wang Wan did not teach them the most correct swimming posture, how to swim faster, and how to cooperate with the summoning of qi. Instead, she helped those who did not know how to swim to eliminate the fear of falling into the water. Many children can swim briskly in the water. Some of them are even a few months old children who don't know anything, and they won't drown. It's not that they can swim well, they don't know how to swim at all. They just don't think there's anything to be afraid of in the water, so they relax their bodies. In the relatively calm water, they won't sink. Wang Wan continued. At the same time, she stopped treading water and closed Weiwei's eyes. Her body began to sink into the water. Just as her head was submerged, her body floated up again. This was an example. A guard from the inner courtyard looked at them enviously. He didn't know how to swim and had been afraid of water ever since he was young. When he saw that other people could stay in the water so easily, he also wanted to try that feeling. It must be very comfortable. Learning from Wang Wan, he also leaned back. Just as he leaned back, he couldn't help but stop. He struggled a few times in the water before he could stand firm and feel better. However, his eyes turned red and he coughed non-stop. He pinched his nose and blew his nose vigorously. Wang Wan turned her head to look and knew that he had choked. The guard looked troubled and said to Wang Wan, "Little girl, I also know that I have to relax, but I'm just afraid. I feel like I will die if I raise my head. What should I do?" Wang Wan sighed and muttered to Zhang Xiaobao, "If only there was a water mirror." When people first learn to swim, one of the fears comes from the pressure of the water, and the other is that they don't dare to open their eyes in the water. In the dark water, people will be nervous. Find someone to hold him and let his legs and arms move gently by themselves. Slowly let go of his hands and he will float up. It's like some people who first learn how to ride a bicycle. They grab the handlebars and pedal hard. Someone behind them will help them run. After running for a while, they will let go of their hands. After a few tries, the cyclist will get the feeling. Zhang Xiaobao was a little unhappy. It was not that others could not learn to swim, but he felt that the guard did not have enough courage. The difference this time was that he no longer looked sad. Instead, he was very excited and shouted to Wang Wan, "Little master, little miss, I can float. The feeling is so comfortable. The sky is so blue. Lying on the water, there is an indescribable feeling." Even if Zhang Xiaobao was angry just now, he had to encourage him. "Well, not bad. You learned swimming on your first try. You have to work harder in the future." The effect of this sentence was not small. Not only did this person summon up the courage to lean back and successfully float on the surface of the water once again, those who did not know how to swim were brave enough to imitate him and lean back. A few of them really did float up. Even those who were still nervous and did not float up did not lose their confidence and asked the people beside them to help support them. Thus, there was no need for Wang Wan to say anything else. Out of the 56 people, more than 30 of them who didn't know how to swim worked hard to learn. They didn't dare to go into the deep water, and only learned in the shallow water where they could stand up straight. They succeeded one after another. In the deep water, there were people who could swim to help them. This way, those who just learned would not have to worry about accidentally swimming to the deep water and drowning. Lying in the water, feeling the wind, feeling the blue sky and white clouds, feeling the coolness of the water, the feeling of challenging oneself and succeeding made them feel so wonderful. There was even a feeling of addiction. Wang Wan lay in the water and rested her head on Zhang Xiaobao's stomach. She said with relief, "They are actually not bad. It's just that they lack a little power in the beginning. They can swim well in the lake. When they reach the sea, the buoyancy is stronger and it is much easier to swim. Tomorrow, we will build a special place for them to artificially make them cramp and let them adapt. Well, increase the weight training in the water. It is not enough to just float on their own." Zhang Xiaobao also approved of these people. The 56 people swam in the water for 2 hours and then began to train on the shore. The weather in the afternoon was a little hotter. The 56 people did not wear so many layers of clothes. They only wore the tight pants used for swimming and ran along the lake. They had to adapt to the heat in advance. Otherwise, when they encountered the sea, they would lose a layer of skin each time they went down. 3 days later, they dug out several swimming pools that were 20 zhang long and 15 zhang wide. There was sand at the bottom of the pool. According to the size of the pool, 56 people were divided into groups. Those who were about the same height were placed in a swimming pool to train. After jumping in, the water just happened to reach the neck. There were several simple methods to make people cramp. They could use abnormal strength in the area that they wanted to cramp. They could alternate between cold and hot, or they could also be tired. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not intend to use the first 2 methods, so they only chose the third method. A backpack was added to each person's body. When the backpack was filled with sand, it weighed about 5 to 6 caddies. This weight was nothing on flat ground, but for people who had just learned how to swim in the water, a few caddies of weight would make it impossible for them to swim even with the buoyancy of the water. Everyone can start swimming. Those who can't swim, walk with all your strength in the water. When you reach the end, turn back and continue walking until you have cramps. Properly experience the feeling of wanting to swim in the water when you have cramps. Wang Wan stood beside the swimming pool and said to the 56 people who had already entered the water. The 56 people were also clear that in the future, the young master and young lady would take them to other places. They would be of great use, so each and every one of them seriously prepared. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan went to see how the road was being repaired, They began to swim in the swimming pool with all their strength. Those who didn't know how to swim hadn't had cramps yet, but those who knew how to swim had cramps first. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan taught them some standard swimming postures, but they didn't intend to let them completely follow the standard swimming postures. After swimming continuously with weights for half an hour, the 56 people all had cramps. Some of them had cramps in their hands, some in their legs and feet. This kind of pain wasn't something that ordinary people could endure, and they were no exception. After having cramps, they couldn't swim anymore. They could only grit their teeth and endure the pain, constantly adjusting to reduce the cramps a little. After feeling it for a while, they used the emergency method taught by Wang Wan to save themselves. Fortunately, the water was shallow, so they didn't have to worry about being drowned. These people only felt uncomfortable and didn't have too much fear. How is it? Have you experienced all of it? You have to get used to this kind of thing. Otherwise, once you have cramps in the deep water, you can lose your life. In the future, carry out normal training and swimming training every day. After getting used to it, the frequency of cramps will basically decrease. Tomorrow I will teach you a set of stretching exercises. Practice it every night. Even if you have cramps, you can immediately adjust. If the cramps are not too serious, you can even enjoy the feeling of cramps. After walking around for a while, Wang Wan said to the people who had already come ashore to do various kinds of massages. Chapter 385. When night fell, Zhang Xiaobao, Wang Wan, and the other 56 people went to sleep at Yaowang Mountain. There was nothing else to do at home, so Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan prepared to start training at Yaowang Mountain. The 56 people were arranged to take a medicinal bath that was originally prepared for the common people to work here. They were also massaged by the people who came to experiment with acupuncture and massage. Only then could they rest. The so-called rest meant that they didn't need to do anything physically, but they still needed to use their brains. Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao personally taught them how to read. The original guards felt that they could finally relax at this time. They had already learned a lot of words, so they could rest if the young master taught them how to read. However, because they knew a lot of words and read some books, Wang Wan found them and began to teach them some combat tactical arrangements. She felt that she had learned a lot, and with some books here and what she knew, Wang Wan made such a tactical training book. The sand table was made by Wang Wan, and the map was also drawn. It was just some of the terrain here. In a narrow area, the long-range suppression of the bow and arrow must be able to shoot farther and kill the enemy's strength in the middle and rear. In a narrow area, the role of a single soldier is especially important. They must be used to cooperate with each other and protect the archers at the back. No matter the terrain, there can be roundabout and can be interspersed. Be flexible and excited. Don't be limited by the situation in front of you. Wang Wan pointed with a pointer on the sand table and told the 16 people what she had sorted out. From time to time, she would stop and explain the meaning of a certain word. She even made small people holding weapons and comparing them with each other. At the beginning, the 16 people listened to a general explanation of the tactics so they could still follow. But after listening to the professional terms and all kinds of strange ideas, they lost confidence. Why are you so stupid? War was very simple. It was to think of a way to effectively kill the enemy, and think of a way to prevent the enemy from killing the enemy. Using everything that could be used, even thinking about each other. Yes, one of these thoughts was called inertial thinking. In this aspect, Xiao Bao is more knowledgeable. I'll give you a general idea first. When the time comes, I'll let Xiao Bao teach you properly. It's a very interesting subject. Let's do it again. Even if you don't fully understand it now, you have to remember it. When you're divided into groups for training, you can use it to combine it with practice. Wang Wan looked at the 16 pairs of blank eyes and sighed. The 16 people lowered their heads in embarrassment. They really didn't understand. At the same time, they were more in awe of the little young master and the little young lady. Although they didn't understand, they understood that the little young lady was talking about the matters of war. This was usually something that only the great generals knew. The little young lady also knew. Little young lady, you haven't said what the position of this soldier should be. A person picked up the small figure next to the sand table and asked Wang Wan. Wang Wan glanced at it and said, "It's not a soldier. It's a person who is equipped with sleeve arrows and crossbows. If you really encounter danger and need to fight with the enemy, I don't want you to directly use swords, spears, and shields to fight with the enemy in hand-to-hand combat after shooting the crossbows. I'll ask someone to mass-produce them. When the time comes, I'll equip you with them. If you really need to use short-range weapons first, you can shoot the sleeve arrows and crossbows first. At a distance of a few steps, the enemy shouldn't be able to dodge. There's also the flying knife. You have to practice it in the future. Ask Xiao Bao for this. He can use an inch-long steel needle to penetrate glass from 10 steps away. In short, our request is that you can kill the people who are a threat to us at a farther distance. Don't kill them at a medium distance. If you can reach a medium distance, don't come close. If you can, don't use swords. If you can use swords, don't use fists. I know, little young lady. Are the long-range arrows the bow and the medium-range arrows the sleeve arrows? A guard was very excited when he heard Wang Wan's words. If they were equipped with such things, they could save their lives to a greater extent when they encountered danger. The sleeve arrows were not cheap and were exquisitely made. The bow and arrow are the medium-range arrows. You don't need to know the long-range arrows now. You will know it later. Go on and listen carefully. Wang Wan placed the small figures one by one and repeated what she had just said. Zhang Xiaobao was also teaching 40 illiterate people. A blackboard and a piece of chalk. Write a word on it. Zhang Xiaobao recited it, and the 40 people recited it. At this time, one piece of chalk had been used up. Zhang Xiaobao replaced it with another piece. The chalk was not bad. It was made of lime and gypsum. When he was researching this thing, he flipped through many books. In the end, he found the Shen Nong's Materia Medica in a medical book. Wang Wan was very surprised at that time. The things written in this book could be used in the chemical industry. A lot of things could be found. Now, she was working hard to read the medical book. She was preparing to collect the materials in the future to make something else. There was also the sulfuric acid mentioned in the Yellow Emperor's 9 Cauldrons Divine Pill scripture. This made Wang Wan very depressed. She wanted to make something, so she didn't read the engineering book, but the medical book. Okay, remember these words today. 15 of them. We will make some of the different troop types. The more detailed they are, the more soldiers they represent. The more detailed they are, the more powerful they are. We will hold competitions in various places. Other than using money to buy maps and little people, we can also set up points in various shops. When the time comes, we can use the points to exchange for things. We will make unique marks on our maps and little people. The kind that is not easy to imitate. We will even record when we sell some valuable little people and maps. In each shop, we will hold a big competition every season. The winner will receive our prize in the end. The rule is that the other party will have to compensate for the number of soldiers they have taken away in battle. Even the children of poor families can use the prize they got when they played for the first time to continue playing. As long as they are smart enough, they can compete with the rich. In this aspect, there is no fairness. It is not that if you only have one soldier, others will not beat you if they have 10,000 soldiers. As long as you accept the challenge, or if you are chosen according to the rules, you have to accept the challenge. It is the same in business. If a person with a copper coin wants to compete with a person with a lot of money, then he has to use that copper coin to work hard. This world is unfair. Let the children know from a young age that there is no need to beg for fairness. If they want to obtain more, they have to fight for it themselves. Xiao Bao, do you have anything to add? This matter must be done. We will cultivate the talents of great Tang from a young age. When the time comes, we will look for talents here. No, Xiao Bao, do you have a backup plan? Chapter 386. Zhang Xiaobao chuckled. We need to know the place to make a 3D map, but we don't need to do that for small people. We also need a lot of people to make all kinds of goods. We also need to find people to watch the shop. There are 2 people in Zhuangzi who haven't found anything yet, so we can arrange it for them. Let's make the maps for our 2 counties first, then find people to check the terrain in other places. We need to ask Li Sun to do this together. We don't have that many people, so we have to ask him to do it. He will come to us. Oh, I see. That's a good idea. What's next? Wang Wan asked again. Next, we can make a military map and hand it to the imperial court. My father will be more secure. Zhang Xiaobao mentioned another benefit. Wang Wan looked like she had expected it and continued to ask, "What else?" Also, when we look for the map, we can ask people to help us find the minerals. When we do business, the minerals are also included. The minerals that are useless to others are useful to us. If we are willing, we can set the price of the minerals that are not valued by others lower when we set the rules. Then we will naturally pay a lower price for the minerals. After being kissed, Zhang Xiaobao began to say whatever he wanted to say. Wang Wan nodded with satisfaction and looked at Zhang Xiaobao. "Is there anything else?" "Yes. When we are making goods, the things we sell are also goods. For example, the smoked chicken, we can carve words on the chicken, Sanshui smoked chicken between the clouds and the water. The things that others spend money to buy can also be used to advertise for us. It's profitable. There's one more thing, don't ask now." Zhang Xiaobao answered one more question. He struggled to get out of the gentle embrace and shut his mouth. Wang Wan knew that it must be something very important, so she didn't ask more. She was satisfied with what she had asked, so she changed the topic back to what they had talked about before. "Xiaobao, shouldn't there be an official examination system? For example, the people we send out can accept the challenges of those who have villains and goods. During the challenge, the shop will give out the same thing. This is fair. We can give the poor kids a chance." "Okay, this is not bad. Then we have to train some people first. Otherwise, if we go to other places and they lose in a single challenge, we can't afford to lose that face. First, let's make 2 county maps. Then we'll find 2 people from Zhuangzi to compete a few times a day. You'll be in charge of military matters, and I'll be in charge of business matters. For example, if a level 1 challenge is 100 soldiers, then a level 2 challenge is 500. The map should also be bigger and bigger so we can see how a person's ability is. If you want to challenge a level 2 person, you have to win at least 3 matches above level 1 and get 3 badges and so on." Zhang Xiaobao felt that Wang Wan's proposal was good, so he added a few more words. Then the 2 people settled the matter. In front of them sat 16 guards of the main courtyard. Except for Huzi, the other 15 people really didn't see the layout of the little young master and the little young lady. This time they opened their eyes. The little young master proposed an idea, and the 2 people said one sentence after another, and such a big thing was said. Everything in the past may be like this. It seems that the main family will make more money in the future. In a while, arrange someone to find Li Sun and call him over to discuss this matter. Zhang Xiaobao picked up a small person and said, "Who missed me?" As soon as Zhang Xiaobao's voice fell, Li Sun pushed open the door from outside and walked in. He looked at Zhang Xiaobao with a smile and asked, "No one missed you, just casually saying it. Why did you come over?" Zhang Xiaobao handed over the small person in his hand. Li Sun took it and looked at it, then looked at the sand table and said with a smile, "Xiaobao, your family's guards also learn this?" In front, there was a horse support that piled up rice into the ground. "You're piling up mud and sand, right? Why do I feel that it looks a little familiar?" "Yes, it's Yawang Mountain." "That's right, this in my hand is a cavalry." "Aya, it's troublesome for cavalry to fight in this place, especially since you made a lake. Put some armor here and pull out the stirring rope, and wait for the cavalry to rush out when there's chaos. What do you think?" "What do you think? Are they fools? Don't they have scouts? Don't they think that they will be ambushed when they encounter mountains?" Zhang Xiaobao curled his lips and replied. Li Sun waved his hand. "What if they have to rush? If they come from 100 miles away and encounter many mountains along the way, they will always send scouts to check. Then the marching speed will be slowed down. Speed is the most important thing in war. If I attack, I will first set fire to the mountains when I encounter them. You go and ambush them." Zhang Xiaobao thought for a while and said, "That's not right. If we burn the mountains, the ambushers in the mountains will throw wood. How can we proceed? Wait for the mountains to burn out? Come over with the momentum of burning the mountains and force the ambushers to." The 2 people who didn't understand at all started to talk. Wang Wan looked at them and listened, but she didn't say anything. She had nothing to say. These 2 people were full of loopholes. It was really a blessing for her to meet them. As the 2 of them continued to talk, Li Sun finally changed the topic when both of them had nothing else to say. "I've moved. I bought a house next to the Yamen in Huayuan County. I want to celebrate with you too. In the future, You two don't have to worry about not having someone to play with when you're free. First tell me, what is this game? Li Sun said and pointed at the sand table. This is the game. I want to ask someone to play with you, Zhang Xiaobao said, and then repeated to Li Sun what he just said to Wang Wan. Li Ji was stunned. He looked at Zhang Xiaobao, then at Wang Wan, and then at the sand table. He opened his mouth and nodded. Okay, count me in. Let's make a deal. We can't be too detailed about the things we sell. We'll tell others about the terrain of our country. This is a good toy. Make a set first. I still have to go back. 10 days later, the training at the foot of Yawang Mountain continued. 56 people were already used to this kind of training. Although they were tired, they also gained a lot of benefits. Their bodies were stronger than before, and their meals were more delicious. Especially after soaking in the medicinal bath at night when they were massaged, it was really cool. Zhang Xiaobao continued to be the language teacher. Wang Wan also instilled military theory in the 16 people. Today, she could use the sand table to test the theory with the 16 people. Li Sun personally carried a big bag that weighed more than 20 kilograms. After bidding farewell to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, he asked people to protect him and went back to the provincial government. This time he planned to go back directly without stopping on the way. Unexpectedly, when the boat reached between the clouds and the water, the old man was already waiting for him with the clairvoyance in his hand. Little prince, why did you come back after just a few days? Tell this old man, what kind of interesting thing did you encounter? The old man chuckled as he stood on the small bridge, greeting Li Sun, who had just arrived by boat. Li Sun saw that he couldn't hide, so he had to steer the boat to the side and enter a house between the clouds and the water with the old man. It's just a toy. It's here. Li Sun took down the bag, opened it and kept taking things out. After taking them out, he put them together again. Hundreds of wooden figurines were also arranged. He said to the old man, "We need to find another person to help. You choose one side, I choose one side. Let's play. Is it fun? We can also change the figurines to do business. Let's see whose business is better." Next to it is an hourglass. 1 hour or 1 hour can be counted as 1 day, or even 10 days. The Zhang family is going to use this to make money. They gave me a share of the business. Before they left, I arranged for 2 Zhuangzi farmers. This is it. In the future, it will appear everywhere in our country for children to play with. Adults can also play with it. Li Sun repeated what Zhang Xiaobao said to him to the old man. Good stuff. It really didn't let me down. Otherwise, wouldn't it be a waste of effort to arrange people to watch you upstairs? This thing? No, I have to write a memorial. You can't protect the Zhang family. There are too many things involved and the business is too big. After hearing Li Sun's words, the old man looked at the thing in front of him and made a decision. No need. It's just a toy. Do you want to give Imperial Uncle a share? I won't do it, Li Sun deliberately said. When he came back, he wanted his father to intervene. He naturally knew how much this so-called game could cause. The old man played with the figurines. He looked at Li Sun and said, "You have to do it. Even if the prince helps you, it's useless. If there is a detailed map in the future, it can only be used by the imperial court. Tell this to the emperor. The Ministry of War will be busy again, and the Ministry of Revenue will find an excuse to intervene. After all, there is still business." More than that, Xiao Bao said that he will make a map of being an official in 2 days. First, you have to play dice. When you go to a place, you have to answer a question. Some questions are about knowledge and some are about population and grain fields. If you answer correctly, you will be rewarded. If you answer incorrectly, you will be demoted and have to start again. After the imperial examinations are finished, the people who pass the examinations will start to be officials in various places. There will also be many questions waiting for you. It's a kind of evaluation. If you answer correctly, you will be promoted. If you answer incorrectly, you will be demoted. If you make a serious mistake, you will be exiled or beheaded. If you put it in a challenge or in a big competition every quarter, the people who are beheaded will be taken back. If you are exiled, you will be punished. Li Sun told the old man about the map that hadn't been made yet. He meant that only the Ministry of War and the Ministry of Revenue were not enough. The old man also understood. He nodded and said, "So the Ministry of Rights, the Ministry of Justice, and even the Emperor have to be included. This thing is very powerful. Maybe the Emperor will let all the ministers play to see how well they handle things. But can the Zhang family think of so many possibilities? I don't know. Maybe he will go to various places and sort out what happened before and how to deal with it. For example, what did the various places do when there was a drought? Which is good? Which is bad? If you are willing to write a memorial, then write it. I am in a hurry to go back. I can't give up my set. Xiao Bao still has some. Ask them for it." As Li Sun spoke, he began to unpack the things on the table and put them into his backpack. Chapter 387. While Li Sun was reporting, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't stop to wait for his final result. Since the things had been made, they could begin mass production. The two people from Zhuangzi outside the Zhang family were gathered together. The craftsmen were in charge of making the figurines and items. They didn't need to make the maps of the two counties. The craftsmen of the Zhang family and the Wang family would do it. The two people from Zhuangzi who didn't have such craftsmanship had to be trained. Those who used to do business were assigned to manage shops in various places. Those who were smart were selected to follow them to Yaowang Mountain so that they could compete with Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao originally wanted to teach them some theoretical knowledge. Unfortunately, they started learning too late and couldn't understand anything too profound. The only way to make them improve quickly was to let them fail again and let them see how they won. After seeing more, they would naturally figure out some rules. All business activities, no matter how complicated they seemed, were ultimately a matter of price difference. A high price difference in the short term would directly make a profit, while a long-term investment would wait for appreciation. It was all the same. Those who made a lot of money just used the middle means well. The training was done, and the arrangements were arranged. Everything seemed to go smoothly. The calm water was rippled by the wind. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan stood next to the shallowest swimming pool, staring at the water and waiting. After a few minutes, a head came out of the water first. It opened its mouth and gasped for breath. After this head came out, other heads came out of the water one after another. There was a trace of annoyance on the faces of those who came out later. Huzi was the 10th last one to come out. He wiped his face and said to Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao, "Little master, little miss, can we practice separately?" When someone stood up, the water moved. I could have held on for a while, but when the water moved, I couldn't hold on anymore. The others who came out later also nodded in agreement with Huzi's words. The people who came out first were a little embarrassed. They couldn't hold it in anymore and stood up quickly. Naturally, they disturbed others. Wang Wan suddenly said, "Oh, so that's how it is. You're afraid of water movement when you're holding your breath underwater? Alright, from tomorrow onwards we'll start putting fish in this swimming pool. The smallest one has to be at least 3 feet long. The swimming pool is big, so we'll put 1,000 fish first. You guys can continue training there. There's no need for that. We'll get someone to bring them here now so that you can continue swimming." This time, no one dared to say anything, especially Huzi. He told himself not to raise any objections in the future. Every time he did, he would feel even worse. One by one, they jumped into the water and took a few deep breaths. Then they closed their eyes and sank into the water again, holding onto the wall of the swimming pool. Standing on the shore, Wang Wan really ordered someone to catch the fish. She glanced at the water and said, "Are you afraid of others?" What was she thinking? Did she think that she would spend the rest of her life in the swimming pool? Which river does not move? She didn't distribute the oxygen properly, and she actually dared to blame others? Zhang Xiaobao chuckled. These people were all clowns. After a while, the people inside came out one after another. Wang Wan called them and asked them to go to the shore. She took out some paper with words written on it, which were taught by Zhang Xiaobao in the past 2 days. She folded the paper and handed it to these people. After you go down, unfold the paper and see what's written on it. If you see it, get up and say it. If you don't see it, wait until you can't hold it in anymore, Wang Wan said to them. Some of these people didn't care, but some were very nervous. They usually closed their eyes when they were in the water. With a splash, these people jumped into the water again. Wang Wan sighed and said, There's still a long way to go. When they are used to opening their eyes in the water, it will be fine. Arrange for people to go to Meiyuan, Sanyuan, Chunhua, Yunyang, Tongguan, and Fuping counties to check the terrain. Are you going to let the 2 people from Zhuangzi go to the nearby areas to get used to it? Yes and no. Let's take it slow. The other counties also need to do the same. The map of the capital is the simplest. We already have the blueprint, so we just need to follow it. I wonder if we will be punished for attacking the palace during the competition? Zhang Xiaobao flipped through the physics information that Wang Wan had sorted out. He was still a little worried about opening a shop in the capital. Then don't make the location of the palace. Pretend that there is nothing there. Make more places. We don't need to be afraid of people deliberately remembering this place. They have already remembered it. Who would think of attacking the Tang dynasty's palace for no reason? They have to come in first. Don't worry about it for now. Wang Wan wasn't sure what Li Longji would think if they were to target the palace, then get rid of it. It's better to avoid trouble. When they come in a few days, remember not to show mercy. We have to let them know that they have to give it their all. Zhang Xiaobao was talking about the people who were coming to train. Wang Wan understood and nodded. She thought of something and asked Xiaobao, if our shop is challenging some businessmen or generals, do you think the people we send can do it? We have to send them even if they can't. If they lose, we can invite the powerful people such as honorary generals and honorary businessmen. When the time comes, they can fight with each other. Whoever wins will be the honorary person, and the loser will definitely think of a way to take revenge. I'm thinking of something now. For example, if you are given 100 strings of coins and you go to Sanshui County to do business, the specialty of Sanshui County is close to the real data and the terrain is similar. It won't have a big impact on business. If we choose October this year, then if a person can calculate 100 strings of coins into 200 strings of coins in a month, will it be possible in real life? Zhang Xiaobao had just thought of this. If all the data was close, then what could be done in the game could be done in real life. Wang Wan was stunned for a moment and shook her head. It shouldn't be possible. How many people can play the game at one time? They are only competing with the same opponents. How many merchants are there in real life? However, through this game we can gather some ideas. Even if it can't be done in real life, we can change it and use it in real life. We have done a big thing. For example, if an official wants to build a water conservancy project, he will try his best to think about how to build the water conservancy project. He is only one person. Even if he includes the think tanks around him, there are only a few people who can do it. But from the game, those who can play the official game shouldn't be too bad. With so many people helping to think, including the mobilization of personnel, the collection of materials, the situation of the river, and so on, things that couldn't be done in the past can be done. Brainstorming can be beneficial. Who knows? Let's get it done first. How's Li Sun's side? It's best to pull more people in. If the business is too big, we can just take a part of it. It's enough for 2 Zhuangzi to arrange. The other positions can also be given away. In a while, I will write to Grandpa Bai and ask if he can contact other officials. With the support of the officials, it will be easy to do things in the future. Give them a part of the profits and they can see how others deal with official matters. And what are we eating tonight? Zhang Xiaobao couldn't take everything into consideration, but he could pull others in to make this game. With benefits involved, there were many loopholes that had to be fixed if others found them. Now, what he had to do was to contact people in various places as soon as possible. He had to get them to help with the map and use the fastest speed to spread the game throughout the country to create a brand advantage. This matter is more urgent. Go and write it now. Uzi, you continue to lead people to practice. Remember to rest properly. Don't let anything happen. Wang Wan pulled Zhang Xiaobao and ran back, leaving 56 people to continue training. Half an hour later, a letter with several possibilities was sent to between the clouds and the water at the fastest speed. At this time, the old man had just finished writing the booklet. After sending it away, he sat there and made a pot of tea. While waiting for the tea to be drunk, he said to himself, "This is a mess. I don't know how many people put their eyes on the Zhang family. How should we divide the profits?" Li Sun had just returned to the Wang mansion. He told the king of trials, Li Changyi, who was sitting there drinking tea. After listening to his son, he spoke. Sure, this business is too big. I can't handle it. Write a letter to your other uncles and discuss it with them before making a decision. In the end, it's good enough if you can get half of the profits. If the Zhang family can get half of the profits, you can get less. Father, that's all you can get. Li Sun felt that it was too little. Not only for himself but also for Zhang Zhuangzi. Zhang Zhuangzi was the one who thought of it and made it. There were also some subsequent adjustments. Chapter 388. The weather gradually cooled down. In another month or so, the rice would be harvested, and the cotton would also be harvested. The cotton harvesting process was slower than the rice harvesting process. The two farmers from Zhuangzi who came in after the Zhang family were still busy. The trainees were sent to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. After game, no one won. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not cheat. When they rolled the dice, the person in the middle was in charge. Zhang Xiaobao's side was more fun, but Wang Wan's side was boring. She didn't throw the dice to see who would make the first move, but to see the number of the dice. She would draw a random spot beside the dice to see the weather. In order to increase the entertainment value, Zhang Xiaobao added some random elements to the game. For example, when you play a dice game and enter the lucky house, the contestant would draw a piece of paper from it. The small piece of paper would be in the simulated house. When you pinched it out and took a look, you would find 5 copper coins. That would be 5 copper coins. This could be done properly. Zhang Xiaobao was afraid that he would bully people too much, so he played with the unorthodox game first. After letting people know about the business world, he would play the proper game. While the two of them were killing people, the chess pieces were already being sold. Some people in the nearby prefectures and the imperial court began to contact Zhang Zhong. They did not care who came up with this game. As long as it was the Zhang family, they would contact Zhang Zhong. Zhang Zhong was very busy. After receiving people's invitations, he had to think about who was behind each family, how much help they could provide, and how capable they were if they wanted to cause trouble. In the end, Zhang Zhong really could not figure it out. He found Bai Shu and Li Sun and made arrangements. When there were people he did not know, he would ask the two of them. Because this news had not spread to the distant prefectures, Zhang Zhong did not dare to promise how much effort each family put in and how much money they would get. He could only wait. He wrote down each name on a piece of paper, followed by each person's family or power. When the time came, the distribution would be based on strength and power. Zhang Xiaobao meant that no matter how it was distributed, the Zhang family should keep 10% in the end. He and Wang Wan were exhausted from the detailed rules of the game. There were also some people in the residence who helped to find loopholes. If they did not even get 10%, then others could think of their own ways. The Zhang family would not be involved. Of this 10%, Li Sun's 30% was privately given to him. Li Sun still had a little bit of money left on the total list, adding it up to 5%. On the surface, he did not ask for much. Furthermore, it was his family who took the lead. Even if others knew about the private deal between him and the Zhang family, they would not say anything. After the two Zhuangzi's trainees left, the rest of the people began to make figurines. Each figurine was engraved with a unique symbol. Ordinary figurines and goods were made of ordinary wood. Medium figurines and goods were made of high-quality wood. Better figurines and goods were made of gold and silver. When buying figurines or goods with gold and silver, a document would be given to prove where the figurine was bought. In the future, it would be taken out during the competition and recognized by the shop. Otherwise, you could make it yourself. During the quarterly competition, you would take it out. There was one less document, so keep it for yourself. This kind of work was not done by the Zhuangzi, but by the people in the inner courtyard. Zhang Xiaobao also spent a lot of money to buy jadeite. He used the jadeite to carve 2 sets of figurines and goods. These were naturally prepared for someone. At the same time, Wang Wan's mother and Zhang Xiaobao's mother had a good relationship. The elders of the two families often went outside to sit under a tree and chat. Under the invitation of the Zhang family, the Wang family planned to follow them. The people in Zhangzhe Zhuangzi had things to do, but the Wang family's people in Zhuangzi were still waiting. They believed that the young lady would arrange something for them to do. In fact, the Gu family's people in Zhuangzi were the most upset. They did not know who spread the rumor that the head of the Zhang family would leave Zhuangzi and go to a faraway place after he finished dealing with Huayuan County. The Gu family's people in Zhuangzi did not believe it at first. However, when they saw that the Zhang family's people had started to open shops outside of Zhuangzi, the other two people in Zhuangzi also started new businesses. Those who were familiar with the Zhang family knew that the Zhang family was arranging something for the people in the village to live a good life. The Gu family's people could not help but look at the Wang family's people. If the Wang family was also arranged, then the head of the Zhang family would definitely leave. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan certainly could not take care of the Zhang family and leave the Wang family behind. Even if the Wang family's people were doing well now, they still had to find something to earn money for them. However, was it so easy to find a profitable business? Only Zhang Xiaobao could do this. If it were someone else, it would be strange if they did not go crazy. Wang Wan was silent as if she understood. Zhang Xiaobao was filled with endless sorrow. And Li Sun came over to deliver delicious food. Wang Wan finally stopped being silent. Xiaobao genius. It seems that the heavens were jealous of you when you got sick. Let's go and arrange it now. Young Master Li, please sit here for a while. We will come back in a while. Wang Wan left with these words and pulled Zhang Xiaobao away. Li Sun only heard the latter part of the conversation. At the beginning, Zhang Xiaobao's mouth moved, and so did Wang Wan's mouth. She only knew to ask him to wait for a while, and did not understand anything else. A fast boat went against the current. When it reached the small bridge, it shouted to the Wang family's people who came out for a stroll. The master has ordered for the second steward to come over. The person looked and recognized that it was the Wang family's guard. He quickly ran to the Wang family's main courtyard. After a while, the second steward in charge of guarding here rushed over. The person took out a letter and handed it over. The master has ordered for the second steward to be in charge of this matter. Don't worry, take the Gu family with you. Farewell. The second steward looked at the boat in the distance and was somewhat puzzled. He did not know what this meant. He glanced at the letter in his hand and estimated the distance. He directly crossed the bridge to between the clouds and the water, which was twice as close as the main courtyard. Next to him was the Wang family's villager who had just reported. In the past, how would the villager dare to do this? However, it was different now. The steward did not have much power. He only had power when he was working for the master. Even if there was no room in between the clouds and the water, there would be emergency rooms left. He directly led the Wang family's second steward to a room on the second floor with the best view. The villager hesitated for a moment. Second steward, can I go in and take a look? Come in. It must be related to Zhuangzi. Wang Biao, you can also read? The second steward paused for a moment and called the villager in. The villager happily walked into the room. Second steward, who doesn't want to learn something now? Our Wang family can't be worse than others. Last time I saw that cripple Zhang family, you don't even know what he said to me. He said that a fair and graceful woman is easy to find. Bullying me because I don't understand. I was puzzled. His wife is at least 150 pounds. How can that be fair and graceful? I said that I should go and tell his wife. At that time he treated me to a drink. Unfortunately, it was between the clouds and the water. He only charged us villager. I ordered 4 dishes and a pot of wine. He only spent 22 copper coins. Ha 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 ha. The second steward finally couldn't help but laugh. He patted the villager's shoulder. Good, let's do that. We have good relations with the Zhang family, but we still have to fight for face. Come look at the letters. While speaking, the second steward opened the envelope and took out 2 letters. One was thick and the other was thin. He opened the thin letter and looked at the villager. The villager carefully looked at the letter. Second steward, there are too many words that I don't understand. You should read it. The second steward nodded. I'll read it for you. Second steward, I am Cuckoo. I have something to tell you. Xiao Bao has arranged for the Zhang family's villager. As for the Wang family's villager, he has also thought of a way to arrange with the Gu family. We will turn the road between the clouds and the water into a food street. Our main business will be mutton steamed buns, buckwheat noodles, steamed buns, bubble oil cakes, gourd head steamed buns, donkey rujiamo, 100 dumplings, and guacue. In addition to the food that Xiao Bao and I usually make, we will give the Gu family 30% of the profits. The two families will run a food street together. The specific methods are in the letter. In addition, there are 4 medicinal cuisine recipes. Manage it well, and it won't be worse than the Zhang family's original villager. Remember, use enough ingredients. If there are any fakes, wait for me to find out. Second steward, I knew it. The main family won't leave us alone. It seems that the old master of the Zhang family is really going to leave. Second steward, what do you think will happen if the little lady finds out that you're faking it? The villager understood and said happily. The second steward glared at the villager. When did I say that I'm faking it? If I'm really faking it, you must be a traitor. Think of a way to tell the little lady. Second steward, I'm the traitor if I don't tell the little lady. The villager didn't care and said what he thought. Just now I was a bit depressed, so I left a review in the book review section. Some people might not see it, so I posted it here to let everyone know my thoughts. It's my first time on the new book list, so I'm very excited. My thoughts are very simple: to stay in the top 10. I also want to be in the top 6. Who doesn't like more money? But I know it's impossible. I'm a stable person, but there's a bit of passion in my heart. Just now, someone used the words "take off the shelves" to provoke me. My heartstrings trembled, so I wrote this review. What I want to say is, friends, go well. If you're satisfied with the next book, come again. I'll continue to write. I'll write how I should write. That's my style. Even if I still owe the monthly votes for chapters, I'll still shamelessly say that I'll continue to support those with monthly votes. Let me say one more thing. Actually, I don't know where everyone is from. Maybe we'll never meet in this lifetime. Maybe we'll meet, and even if we don't know each other, I know that you'll support me at the ends of the earth. The furthest, you are my most recent love. I also want to, but can the main family take so many people with them? If so many people are taken away, what will happen to the 2 counties? Even if the yamen of the 2 counties won't say anything and will be under the control of the Zhang family, there will be too many people missing. The prefectural court will not be willing. Moreover, they will have to come back in the future. Without us, there will be no home. The second steward thought too much. He had already prepared himself for not seeing the main family for a few years. The farmer did not say anything this time, so he could only change the topic. Second steward, when are you going to look for Guzhuang's people? Actually, I think we don't need to care about Guzhuang. It's not like there's only Zhuangzi. Besides, they also made a lot of money between the clouds and the water. Our main family also made a lot of money. Don't tell me you're just going to wait for benefits? No, I'm just saying. The main family has already given us a lot of benefits. How can we ask for more? What's the difference between that and a beggar? We have hands and feet and can work. We can't always rely on the main family. When I walk outside now, if people ask me and hear that I'm from the Wang family between the clouds and the water, it'll immediately be different. The farmer was more honest and said whatever he wanted to say. At the same time, he was a little narrow-minded and was not willing to share the benefits with others. For example, the Zhuangzi of the Gu family. The second steward could not have the same thoughts as the farmer. Since the young lady had ordered, he had to do it. He put the remaining half-pot of wine beside the farmer and said to him, "You eat slowly. I'll go to the Gu family first." And okay. Second steward, take care. The farmer's mouth was stuffed with food. He responded and poured himself another cup of wine. His alcohol tolerance was poor, so his eyes were a little blurred. He muttered to himself, "If only the master of the Zhang family could be the prime minister. Then I can also say that I'm the prime minister's farmer and scare them to death." The second steward of the Wang family came out of between the clouds and the water and went straight to the main courtyard of the Gu family. Guingxi was also worried now. He had heard some rumors. After finding between the clouds and the water and asking, he got the general idea. He had earned some money with the Zhang family in the past 2 years, especially this year. The money he earned was more than what he had earned in the past 20 years. But he did not want the Zhang family and the Wang family to leave. It was not only a matter of money but also a matter of power. With the two families, not to mention the Sanshui County, even the Zhouzhong County would not be able to cause trouble. When the two families left, what would happen to the Gu family? Usually, the people who contacted the little prince were the Zhang family. He did not know if the little prince would be willing to contact the Gu family. Before he left, he should come back once. He could ask at that time. After all, they had been neighbors for many years. It was reasonable for him to send them off. Besides, Zhang Zhong was not a snobbish person. Otherwise, he would not have bothered with him when there was a scattered official. Village Chief Gu, what do you think of the rice? This year's rice seems to be good. The second steward of the Wang family came over and tried to find a topic to talk about. Yes, it is good. It is all thanks to the blessing of the Zhang family and the Wang family. Guingxi replied politely. He did not know that his family had really benefited from the Zhang family and the Wang family. His rice seedlings were taken from the Zhang family and the Wang family's fields. The Zhang family and the Wang family planted the rice seedlings earlier. When the time came, they did not want the seedlings that were too dense. When the seedlings were cultivated, they were different. After a few days of growing with the wheat rice stone and good fertilizer, the seedlings were much stronger than last year's seedlings. The second steward of the Wang family also knew that he was being polite. He quickly said, it's okay, it's okay. Village Chief Gu, in fact, there is something we need to trouble Gu Zhuang with. The young lady sent a letter saying that she wants Wang Zhuang and Gu Zhuang to do a profitable business together. Does Village Chief Gu agree? Agree. Guingxi said without thinking. He then said, it is all thanks to you. Haha, second steward Wang, come to the yard. Chapter 390. The autumn wind blew down the leaves and dyed the paddy golden yellow. Everyone who had planted the late rice was busy sharpening their knives, preparing for the joy of autumn. The old man was not idle either. He gathered a group of people to fish crabs from the ponds in the mountains. This was what Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan said in their letters. They left a small portion for the old man and sent the rest to between the clouds and the water. The old man was also waiting. The 2,000 mu of land belonged to his family, and was only used by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Along with the letters, there were also 8 crabs. The usage of each crabs was written in the letters, making the old man feel both curious and warm. The crabs and prawns were scooped up one by one. The servants of the Bai family cheered from time to time. The old man, along with his granddaughters Exine Er and Lu Er, stood to the side and watched. Grandpa, do we eat the big crabs raw? I heard that they are better eaten raw. Exine Er licked her lips and asked. She had not eaten crabs that many times. Children were usually not allowed to eat things that could cause them to get sick. If they accidentally got sick, they might die. Only last year did she eat them a few times. They were the very small kind, skewered and fried. They made crunching sounds in her mouth, but there was no meat in them. The old man patted his granddaughter's head. Logically speaking, we should eat them raw or drunk, but Xiaobao and Cuckoo said in their letters that we can't eat them like that. If we want to eat them, send them to between the clouds and the water. They will cook them raw and drunk crabs. Otherwise, it is easy to get sick. Let's eat steamed crabs. Between the clouds and the water should cook steamed crabs. The food there is delicious. Exine Er now believed in between the clouds and the water the most when eating. She would not eat the food cooked by her own chef. Okay. Let's eat the food made by between the clouds and the water. Don't worry about getting a stomachache. Send the first batch of fish to the Yamen of Huayuan County, and send some to between the clouds and the water. Let them cook it first and eat it when they get back. The old man dotingly agreed. In fact, he was also eating at between the clouds and the water. There was a special recipe for him there. Seeing that nearly 500 caddies of food had been scooped out, he quickly sent someone to deliver it to the Zhang family and Wang family so that they could have a taste first. Later on, he would send more. According to the Zhang family's custom, if they had good food, they would share it with the villagers and the bailiffs. In Huayuan County, Zhang Xiaobao, Wang Wan, and Li Sun were also waiting for the shrimps and crabs to be sent over. They wanted to have a big meal to satisfy their cravings. The mountain road had been completed, but the other roads in Huayuan County still had to wait for a few months. There were too many people, but there were too many roads to be repaired. The Yaman's account had money. In the beginning, there were 80,000 strings of coins. In addition to the various taxes collected later on, Zhang Zhong was confident that he could repair the roads to any place that had houses. Except for the houses that lived alone on the mountain, he could repair all the roads. Not only did he repair the houses in the county, but he also specially built a main road in the surrounding counties. He directly hired people from the counties and discussed with them. After the autumn harvest, Lin County would provide manpower, while Huayuan County would provide tools and materials for road repair. He would also build several main roads in the neighboring counties. The people in Lin County's Yamen were secretly delighted. While they agreed, they also said that Zhang Zhong was a fool. He spent so much money just for the convenience of transportation. He actually helped Lin County repair the roads and kept some for himself. No one said anything. He foolishly took out the money to help others. Of course, the people in the Yamen in Lin County were just jealous, especially the Yamen runners. While they said that Huayuan County's county magistrate Zhang Zhong was a fool, they envied the good life of the Yamen runners in Huayuan County. Each of them carried a knife on their waist, rode a horse, and wore clothes that fit them neatly. The Yamen in Huayuan County actually hired a lot of people to wash the Yamen runners' clothes every day. The Yamen runners in other counties only had one set of clothes, and they were washed by their own family members. However, the Yamen runners in Huayuan County had 7 to 8 sets, and they even had different seasons. When doing things in the county, the Yamen runners in other counties either bought food or bullied a small shop. However, the Yamen runners in Huayuan County not only immediately brought food, drinks, and medicine, but also a small card with a number written on it. As long as they ate in a certain shop in Huayuan County, they could pay with the small card. There was a fixed number. When the time came, these shops would take the small card to the Yamen to exchange for money or tax. In this way, the Yamen runners in Huayuan County could persevere no matter how hard the training was. In addition to the good food supply, they were all strong and healthy. If they were compared with others, the Yamen runners in other counties would not be able to raise their heads. In the contradiction of taking advantage of the situation and scolding Zhang Zhong for being a fool, Zhang Zhong sent the booklet of the tax and rent that should be paid this year, which caused an uproar in the imperial court. The people in the imperial court knew that the original county magistrate had collected an extra year's rent. They thought that Zhang Zhong would write a booklet and say that it was reduced this year. Zhang Xiaobao touched the cabbage with his hand. He didn't expect to be able to eat cabbage. This thing has a large production and can be preserved for a long time. So this is it. Yilu Wangjian is preparing food. It's just cabbage, but it's called white song? No wonder we couldn't find it. Now it's good. We can make pig dishes. Wang Wan also reacted. She looked up a lot of things and wanted to find all kinds of useful and familiar things to use. But she didn't expect that the ingredients for the pickled cabbage that she always wanted to eat in winter were right next to her. Yes, this is it. Do you know how to eat it? It can be fried or stewed with tofu. Li Sun nodded and said, "Of course it's in this season. Otherwise, when are we waiting? You are a prodigal. You can plant some other vegetables first, then this. This thing is cold resistant. You wasted the opportunity to plant other things. Do you have seeds? Get me more. Also, get all the new things that have appeared elsewhere. Things like stir-fried tofu and stewed tofu. I will tell you how to eat them." Chapter 391. With the arrival of the cabbage, the 65 people no longer needed to continue training. They were called back to the Yamen by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. On the way back, Wang Wan asked people to quickly go back and prepare a large vat. A water vat would do. Also, prepare stones 2 sizes smaller than the mouth of the water vat, a millstone, and a large amount of salt, not the thin and white kind. Li Sun didn't know why Wang Wan was giving orders. When they arrived at the Yamen, the crabs and prawns sent by the old man had also arrived. Just in time to use prawns to stir-fry cabbage. The staple food is cabbage dumplings. And the soup is dried tofu cabbage shredded soup. Make sweet and sour cabbage, steamed crab meat cabbage buns, soak sea cucumber, and make vinegar cabbage head. It can also be used as a cold dish. Wang Wan muttered as she walked into the yamen. She liked to eat cabbage the most. There were various cooking methods. As long as there were enough ingredients, she could make dozens of dishes in one go. Zhang Xiaobao didn't think so much. He was satisfied as long as there was pickled cabbage, especially the pickled cabbage that was stewed with meat. It was not greasy and tasty, or he could eat it raw. He had always eaten cabbage as a fruit. At this time he was holding a cabbage core in his hand. It was crispy and sweet, and it reminded him a little of the past. Li Sun was also hungry. Zhang Xiaobao was eating too happily. He watched Zhang Xiaobao eat the cabbage core and didn't throw away the remaining one. He asked, "Have you seen Bai Song? This one can't be eaten." "No, who said this one can't be eaten? It can be made into pickles just like the melon slices. I'll tell you how to make it later. These methods are not important, just think about it. What's important is the vat. As long as it's done, this dish can be kept until summer. Even if the taste changes, it's better than nothing." Zhang Xiaobao was already preparing to take the cabbage seeds to the south. Other than the cabbage, there were also small cabbages. It was good to make soup, and it could also be eaten with sauce. Li Sun paid attention to this matter. If it could be put in the summer, that meant that people could eat dishes on a normal day. Even if it was a time of shortage, he decided to take a good look at how it was done. When he entered the yamen, everything was already prepared. In fact, it was very simple. He brushed the water tank clean, put the salt in the cabbage, and put them into the tank one by one. Then, he put a millstone on top of the cabbage. After a few days, he added a few more cabbages in. When it was about time, he changed the water and the pickled cabbage would be ready. Li Sun memorized the entire procedure and asked Wang Wan, who had stopped commanding, "That's it. It's not over yet. After a few more days, we'll see if there are any bubbles in the water. You want to change the water?" "I know. I thought it was a big deal. Others have already done it. When it was done, it tasted sour in my mouth," Li Sun said proudly to Wang Wan. He finally had something he knew. Wang Wan didn't expect that someone had already done it. Since Li Sun said it, she didn't say anything else. Zhang Xiaobao also didn't say anything. At least there were many different ways to eat it. For example, he wouldn't tell him about the pickled cabbage hot pot. After a while, crabs, shrimps, and the newly brought cabbage were made into a table full of dishes. The two families and Li Sun sat around and started eating. When they were almost done eating, Zhang Xiaobao said to Li Sun, "Do you have any idle people? Lend me some for work." "When do you need them?" "When you receive the rice, you can have some. The Li family has people in Zhuangzi." Li Sun replied. "Then it's too late. I need it now. Pluck the cotton, which is the white fold cotton. After it blossoms, it will grow fluffy. Get someone to pluck it. I have use for it. When the time comes, I'll give you some benefits." Li Sun remembered that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had bought a lot of baidizi in the capital and planted them in old Shangshu's nephew's field. There were about 8,000 of them. Originally, there were 10,000 of them, but some died later. "Xiaobao, what are you going to do with them? If there's no other way, you can get the prefectural soldiers to pick them. There aren't many, less than 9,000. There are about 8,000 or 700. They'll be gone in a while." Li Sun felt that there weren't enough baidizi in that field. "Then forget it. I'll find someone to pick them myself. It'll take 2 to 3 months. When the cotton blossoms, I'll go and pick them. I don't know how much they'll be able to pick. Let's see how much they'll produce first." Zhang Xiaobao suddenly had his own thoughts. He thought about the 10 mu of cotton and didn't need too many people. 3 people to 1 mu. They could slowly pick them. After the meal, Li Sun returned to the courtyard he bought. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan sat together to discuss. "Xiaobao, did you buy too little? There are more than 8,000 of them left. How much cotton can there be? How can there be 8,000 caddies?" Wang Wan felt that it was a little too little. Xiaobao shook his head vigorously and said, 1,000 caddies? Let's plant 700 plants in 1 mu of land. If we plant 8,000 caddies, then 1 mu of land will yield 700 caddies. Here, 1 caddy is 640 grams. Then, 1 mu of land will yield 900 caddies. The best cotton seeds we had back then were 1600 caddies per mu. 100 years ago, it was 300 to 400 caddies per mu. That was already pretty good. How much do you think we can get here? How can we get so much? Doesn't seem like much. At that time, we were specifically thinking about how to plant them. The seeds were also improved countless times. With all kinds of supplementary fertilizers and pesticides, we should be able to get 50 caddies per mu, right? 12 mu is 600 caddies. Wang Wan immediately weighed down the weight. Zhang Xiaobao continued to shake his head. I estimate that we'll get 40 caddies per mu. That's a success. In total, it'll be 500 caddies. If we synthesize it, it'll be more than 780 caddies. Let's make do with it. Let's see if we can get 800 caddies. It'll be enough to make some quilts. Wang Wan sighed and suddenly thought of something. I estimate that we can only get 750 caddies or even less. We still have to remove the seeds. After that, it'll be even less. That's right. We still have to make tools for removing the seeds and a flower tying machine. Tomorrow we'll get someone to keep an eye on 1 mu. I estimate that it'll take 2 people a day to harvest 1 mu. It's still because we don't have enough cotton balls. It seems that we have to think of ways to cultivate in the future. We can't just look at the flowers. What we need is cotton. We'll make a flower tying machine in the evening. Zhang Xiaobao also thought of this matter. He was getting more and more uncertain. They had occupied 12 mu of land, but they only got 600 to 700 caddies of cotton. How much would they need to sell it to be comparable to farming? There was no other way. The cotton plants were too tall, and the space between them couldn't be small. Later on, they cultivated short plants. They were densely planted, with many branches and many fruits. A single cotton flower could reach 7 caddies. This was just an ornamental thing. Who would specially think of cultivating it? They could only cultivate it themselves. There should be such people in the Sinong temple. They should think of a way to find them. If that didn't work, they could also get some information. The two of them discussed and came out to find someone to make a flower tying machine. This thing was simple. They just had to find a way to let the cotton wool pass through while leaving the seeds. It was the most primitive kind. There were 2 sticks, one big and one small. The gap in the middle was adjusted according to the size of the cotton seeds. If they made a slight improvement, they would step on it. When one side stepped on it, the other side would move. They just had to remove a few gears from the fan and adjust it. This is a great invention. In the future, people will remember our name. It'll be called the Bao Wan flower tying machine. Oh, it needs to be engraved with the name of the craftsman, or the unique mark of the craftsman. Zhang Xiaobao stepped on it a few times and said proudly to Wang Wan. Wang Wan nodded. Xiaobao, you're really a good person. You know to share some of the glory with the craftsman. Of course. If one of them breaks while using it, it's obvious that the quality is not good. I have to find the craftsman. If I don't leave my mark, how will I know who made it? Zhang Xiaobao finally told the truth. I take back what I said just now. It's really not bad. Wang Wan didn't care about the flower tying machine anymore. She turned around and left after saying that. Early in the next morning, Zhang Xiaobao, Wang Wan, and Li Sun set off for the cotton field with about 10 maids and 20 male servants from the inner courtyard. At noon, the old man's nephew was already waiting at the dock. When he saw them coming, he arranged a meal first. After a quick meal, they came to the cotton field. Originally, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan thought that with more than 8,000 cotton plants, they could take up 12 mu if they planted them according to the length of 1 meter. In the end, they took up 11 mu. But wasn't this mu too small? The cotton plants were close to each other. The sunlight was always blocked, so the cotton did not only grow on the top, but also on the lower branches. Taking a closer look as expected, there were not many cotton plants that had grown on the lower branches. Picking means plucking them. First, put them in your pocket. If there are too many, put them in the sack. Zhang Xiaobao waved his hand, and more than 30 people rushed over. They had never done this kind of work before, so they were really unfamiliar with it. With one hand in their lapels, they used the other hand to search for the cotton stalks, picking whatever they saw. Young Master Li, this year's production is a little low. I can only give you 5 sets. A set with pillow covers, mattresses, and quilts will cost about 5 caddies. No, it's more than 8 caddies. There are only 5 sets. When you go back home, you can give them to whoever you like. Zhang Xiaobao calculated the production even lower. In the end, they could get about 600 caddies of cotton. If they only made the quilts, they could make about 130 to 140 sets. If they made a full set, they could only make about 70 to 80 sets. They still had to cut some materials. Li Sun didn't know what Zhang Xiaobao was talking about. He didn't think much about it and nodded. He didn't care what Zhang Xiaobao gave him in the end. He would just take it. Wang Wan was also worried. I still have to make clothes. Give me 3 sets. That's fine. Young Master Li, I said I would give you 3 sets. I'll give you something else. Zhang Xiaobao felt that it was right. He still had to make clothes and shoes. He couldn't make all of them into a quilt. He then discussed with Li Sun. Any amount is fine. Li Sun didn't have many requirements. To be precise, he didn't care about what Zhang Xiaobao gave him. It was just a quilt. How bad could it be? Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan heard Li Sun's answer and sighed in relief at the same time. Then they looked at the people picking cotton. Chapter 392. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan couldn't help but be surprised. Other people would pick the cotton with one hand and pick with the other. But there was someone in front of them who fastened her clothes and picked with both hands. Her speed was much faster than before. Wait for her to come back later. Ask her how she thought of doing this. When the time comes, we can teach it to others and use it next year. Wang Wan looked over and said to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao also had the same idea. He agreed and continued to wait. There were a lot of people. They stared at 1 mu of land and used 2 hours to finish harvesting. The amount was definitely not the output of 1 mu of land. If there was still cotton, they would have to wait for a month, 2 months, or even 3 months. That was the characteristic of cotton, unless it was specially cultivated for a different purpose. Seeing that they couldn't estimate the amount, Zhang Xiaobao asked someone to bring over the flour tying machine and let someone put the cotton in. After a few adjustments, he found that it was easy to use. Zhang Xiaobao heaved a sigh of relief. This way it could be used in the future. The people of the Zhang family were already used to the things that the young master could do. Li Sun watched from the side and didn't know what was going on. One could see when the white folded cotton bloomed and when the white folded cotton appeared. Why did he put it in a box and squeeze it? Zhang Xiaobao also didn't explain to Li Sun. He would talk about it when there was the real thing. It was useless to talk about it now. Wang Wan called over the servant girl who worked the fastest. Looking at the symbol, it was 3 stars. After looking at it carefully, she recognized it. Xiaosu, why did you think of that idea just now? Later, tell the others that if you teach them, you will get 1 more star. Thank you, young lady. I just felt that I could do it faster. Just a glance is enough. Where is the lump? Reach out and pick it. Xiaosu didn't expect that picking a white folded cotton would give her 1 star. She was already 4 stars. If she worked harder, she would get 5 stars. Well, not bad. Continue to work. After you've finished harvesting these few acres of land, come find us at the dock. Wang Wan instructed. Then together with Zhang Xiaobao and Li Sun, she headed towards the dock. She really didn't want to wait here. The others had started first. This was a skill job. It was slow at the beginning, but it was faster as they gradually got used to it. She estimated that they could finish harvesting those several mu of land before dark. Mr. Li, did you go to the supermarket in Sanshui County this time? Zhang Xiaobao thought of the supermarket on his way back. He couldn't leave behind a mess. When Li Sun heard Zhang Xiaobao mention the supermarket, he said happily, I went to take a look. Many people pass by on the boat. When they see the supermarket, they will deliberately stop and walk around. They want to see the novelty. In the end, most of the people who walk in will buy some things. Some people even buy more and more things. They want to buy whatever they see. When they are waiting for the bill, they realize that they don't have enough money. There are also people who specially ask for pockets. Ever since the pockets started to receive money, those who come to buy daily necessities will carry their own baskets or bags. There are almost no people who steal things. A bailiff is arranged at the door. They are all afraid of seeing the official. It will be fine once you get used to it. After a few years, the locals won't have that kind of novelty. It will become a normal thing to come and buy things. Other places will also open up one after another. Those who haven't built their houses will urge them. When they open one, they will start to earn money. If you want to expand quickly, you can pawn the houses of the supermarkets that have been built. It is like a mortgage, but we still need to use it. If we can't pay back the money, the houses will belong to the pawn shop. When Zhang Xiaobao saw that Li Sun was interested, he began to tell him how to use this method. Li Sun didn't have the slightest idea of doing this. We definitely can't pawn the houses. The interest is too much. It's not worth it. It's better to cooperate with others. If it really doesn't work, I will pull more people in. When Zhang Xiaobao saw that Li Sun didn't agree, he didn't continue to persuade him. In fact, there were other methods, but Zhang Xiaobao didn't want to take them out now. Li Sun had learned a lot, even if he didn't know it himself. When the rice was harvested and piled up, the weather was getting colder. In another 2 months it would be the Chinese New Year. The cotton was almost finished. The remaining was not worth waiting for. It was unknown whether the land was suitable for cotton to grow, or the person who bought it in Beijing chose a good one. Even if there was some left, there was still more than 600 caddies left after the seeds were removed. The output of 11 mu of land was not comparable to the output of 1 mu of land Zhang Xiaobao and Zhang Xiaobao's. This place originally had a kind of cotton which was basically similar to cotton. It was just that when it was used, it felt a little worse, and it was a little worse in terms of insulation. The spinning, weaving, printing and dyeing matters were done according to the cotton. The craftsmen of the Inner Yard Society were gathered together and began to work on the cotton. Wang Wan contributed a little and lengthened the bow used to shoot the cotton. It was also more capricious. She added a small wooden hammer so that her hands would not be injured by touching the bowstring directly. Then came the spinning and weaving. Because of the loom, the woven cloth did not meet the requirements of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, but it was still better than linen. When the first set of bedding and pillow covers were made, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan packed the pillow covers with chaff. Each of them held a big bundle and sent it to Wang Wan's grandfather. Wang Wan's grandfather's health was a little worse. He had rheumatoid arthritis. He usually paid attention to it and adjusted it through food therapy. However, when it was cloudy and rainy, he still felt uncomfortable. In winter, using a quilt could relieve some of the pain. There were also cotton shoes and cotton trousers. These things combined could make Wang Wan's grandfather feel better. Wang Wan's grandfather was the first to receive the quilt. Knowing that it was the work of his granddaughter and grandson-in-law, the old man was happy all day. The other people in the family also began to have their own quilts. When they were almost done, the remaining cotton was placed there to be used for cloth, thread, or stuffing. Continue to purify the alcohol and make alcohol cotton. Wang Wan looked at the remaining cotton. There was something new. Zhang Xiaobao was a little disgusted with the alcohol cotton. If it was cut, he would rather use yellow iodine water than alcohol. When this thing was rubbed against open wounds, it was easy to get pus under the scab. Wang Wan also knew this, but she still prepared to make some. Xiaobao, it's better than not having any disinfection method, right? There is another thing that is good for disinfection, and that is indigo. This can play a role in sterilizing and killing insects. Next time, let's see if it can be used as a pesticide by mixing it with water. Then let's make some. Even if we don't use alcohol, steamed cotton and gauze can also play a good role in treating wounds. First, send the 3 quilts and 1 zhang of cloth to Li Sun. Fortunately, he agreed to buy 3 sets. How much do you think this set can be sold for? Zhang Xiaobao bought a quilt that weighed 5 caddies and went outside first. He put it on a small cart, and the 2 of them pushed it to Li Sun. Wang Wan was also busy. The 2 of them pushed the cart to Li Sun. When they found Li Sun, he was facing a tree that had lost many leaves and playing the autumn cicada that Wang Wan taught him. Zhang Xiaobao stopped the cart and shouted to Li Sun behind the quilt that was taller than him. You don't need thin clothes to survive the cold winter. We will send you something to survive the winter. Li Sun turned around and was startled. He went around and saw Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. He pointed to the quilt that looked not so good and said, "This is what you want to send me? I have good quilts, but not this one." "Your quilt is good. It's satin. You can put another quilt on the outside. And this one zhang of cloth, take it and see what it can do." Zhang Xiaobao stood up and patted the quilt with his hand. Li Sun came over and pinched it curiously. Suddenly he said in surprise, "Hey? Why is it different from the one I used before? Is it not cotton inside? There is white fold seed inside. Take one down and hold it in your arms." Zhang Xiaobao pointed to the quilt on the top and asked Li Sun to hold it. Hearing Zhang Xiaobao's words, Li Sun reached out and took the top one down and held it in his arms. After holding it for a while he said, "Well, it's warm and so soft. Is this white fold seed? Is the cloth also made of white fold seed? Does it mean that we can plant a lot of white fold seed in the future and make it into cloth? This cloth is much better than linen. People who can't afford to sell silk use this thing and it's so warm. Can this thing also be used to make clothes? When it's cold, people who can't afford to wear leather clothes wear this. It's 100 times better than wearing 2 layers of linen. No, I have to tell my father about this. Bring a few more sets. I'll show them." "No, there are only 3 sets. You promised that I would give you 5 sets, but you didn't care. Give 1 set to the prince, keep 1 set to yourself and give the other set to whoever you want." Zhang Xiaobao deliberately mentioned what happened a few days ago. Li Sun was stunned with the quilt in his arms. He blinked his eyes and said with annoyance, "Why didn't I ask for more that day? How can the things sent by the Zhang family be bad? It's my fault, it's my fault. Xiaobao, let's talk about it. You must have more, right? There are so many white fold seed. It's impossible to make only 3 sets. Besides your family, you have a lot left. I'll buy it, okay? 3 strings of coins for 1 set. The quilt and the pillow skin. I want as many as you have. I'm not selling no matter how much it costs. In fact, you can find it in other places. Go to the flower markets and see if there are any white fold seed. Ask them if they threw away the ones that fell. If they didn't, buy them back. 1 copper coin for 1 caddy. There should be many people willing to sell it." Zhang Xiaobao kept the cotton for emergencies, so he couldn't sell it to Li Sun. He suddenly remembered that the white fold seed was flowers, and the flower sellers always had a way to get them. It was much more convenient for Li Sun to find them. "Okay, I'll have someone look for it. When the time comes, I'll leave it to you to help make things. I really need to go home. Why do you always make new things and make me go back and forth?" As Li Sun spoke, he began to call for people. First, he brought the things on the small cart into the house. Then, he sent people to quickly go to the capital and other state capitals to see if he could collect more money. Soon after, he also had to set off. "Wait a minute. Help me bring 10 sets to Grandpa Bai. We are using his nephew's land. No matter what, we have to give him some benefits." Zhang Xiaobao called Li Sun. Chapter 393. When Li Sun arrived at Between the Clouds and the Water, the old man was already waiting for him. Without waiting for Li Sun to speak, the old man asked first, "What good things did you bring back this time?" "White fold seed, a cloth woven with white fold seed and stuffed inside to make a bedding. It's warmer than cotton wool, softer than the fur we stuffed inside, and more comfortable than linen. It's what we used to raise as flowers." Li Sun was a little excited as he spoke. The main reason was that when he came over, the weather was a little cold, so he spread the bedding in the carriage and covered himself with it. That feeling was very comfortable. The old man Weiwei was stunned. "White fold seed. This can be woven into cloth? Can it be stuffed inside like cotton wool? But white fold seed has seeds in it, so it's not easy to get them. We can choose to plant them in newly opened land. Every small bud has seeds in it. Just picking the seeds will take a lot of manpower. It's not worth it. If we really plant them, it will be a waste of manpower and money." Li Sun suddenly thought of this. There were seeds in it. When Xiaobao and Cuckoo tried to step on that thing, how did they get the seeds? They stepped on it and the seeds came out. Turned out that the key was that thing. Thinking of this, Li Sun immediately said, "The Zhang family made a thing that can be rotated. Put the white fold seed in it, and there will be no seeds after it is rotated. Should we plant it or not? If we plant it, we will occupy the land. If we don't plant it, it will be a pity. Plant it. When the time comes, even if the ordinary people can't use it, the price of the silk will drop after the rich people use it. And this matter needs to be reported. Choose a place to try planting it for a year, and encourage the opening up of land. The old man had more things to think about. The white dye seed had just come out, and everyone would find it fresh when they came into contact with it for the first time. The price would not be low. It would take at least a few years before ordinary people could use it, unless they found a suitable place to plant a large amount of white dye seed. Li Sun did not care so much. He wanted to go home quickly and give the things to his family. When he came out, other than the old man's 10 sets, he asked for 2 more sets. Of the 5 sets, he kept 1 set for himself and divided the rest. Someone was helping to collect them. After collecting 5 pounds, he could make 1 set. The worthless piece of white paper had now become a treasure. A treasure? That's right. Xiao Bao even asked me to help him collect more by daisy seeds. Is he thinking of? His family is thinking of going to the south and finding a suitable place to plant them in large quantities. This is the Zhang family's way of preparing for a rainy day. They haven't even gone there yet, but they've already thought of a way to improve the lives of the local people. They'll let the people plant these things and they'll buy them at a high price. When the quilts are made, they'll sell them and no one will lose money. If he could learn this skill from time to time? It's a pity that I can't go with them. Young master, don't you want to go and take a look? No matter where the Zhang family goes, there will be miracles. It's good to take a look. The old man understood the Zhang family's plan after Li Sun mentioned it. Li Sun was a little helpless. I want to go with them, but it seems impossible. Old minister, the Zhang family has been spending money recently. They gave flowers to the neighboring counties around Huayuan County. I don't know what Zhang Zhong is thinking. Previously, he spent 40,000 strings of coins. These days, he should have spent another 20,000 strings of coins. I said that we should open a few more supermarkets. They don't have money. They don't want to do this for money. Spending money for the neighboring counties? They've never told me about this. My nephew once mentioned that they should repair the roads in the surrounding counties. This will make it easier to transport things in Huayuan County. The 5 counties around Huayuan County are Meiyuan, Sanyuan, Chanhua, Yunyang, Fuping, and there's Sanshui County here. This road is connected. Tell me what they've done. The old man thought for a while, but he couldn't think of anything in the end. Normally, it would be abnormal if it was too normal. The Zhang family's actions were watertight. They couldn't have spent 60,000 strings of coins for nothing. Li Sun told the old man everything he knew one by one. He bought handicrafts, opened up a shop for the game, bought the poultry and livestock raised by the people, and sold them back to the little ones at a very low price. He also helped to build roads, rent land, hire people, and so on. So the other counties are doing well now? Zhang Zhong is wholeheartedly serving the people. Not only is he helping the people in Huayuan County, but he also can't bear to see the people around him leading a bad life. The old man thought about it and said, "That's right." Zhang Zhong submitted the memorial first. Huayuan County will pay 5 times the usual tax this year, and the surrounding counties will also have to submit the same memorial. In the end, all the taxes doubled. Luckily, the Zhang family spent 60,000 strings of coins. Otherwise, the surrounding county magistrates would be worried to death. Li Sun now understood a little about this. The Zhang family's money had stimulated the surrounding economy. It was direct investment, and it was the kind of investment that was purely based on consumption. Although it wasn't as good as infrastructure investment, this method was more effective. Otherwise, the surrounding counties wouldn't be able to collect so many things in such a short time. At this time, the old man laughed. The people in the surrounding counties should hate Zhang Zhong, but they can't bear to part with him, right? But what's the use of Zhang Zhong's move? Could it be that he doesn't want to leave and wants to stay in Huayuan County? He can't bear to leave the county that he built? Well, this is possible. When the time comes, even if others want to let him go, the people in Huayuan County and the surrounding counties will jointly petition to let him stay. The higher-ups have to consider it. But for this kind of thing they should discuss it with me. Later I will write a letter to ask. You take the quilt and go back first. Li Sun also had the same idea. It was useless to stay here any longer. He took his own things, left the old man's things behind and left by boat. After he left, the old man thought for a while. No, that's not right. If the Zhang family wants to stay, why do they need so many white fold seeds? There's no need to let Li Sun build the boats. I don't know if I can write a letter to ask if the Zhang family can tell me. In the Yamen of Huayuan County, Zhang Zhong took out more than 1,000 strings of coins. This was the money of the Zhang family in exchange for a large number of tanned furs from 2 counties. He asked someone to send them to the warehouse. He couldn't sit still. He didn't want to spend 60,000 strings of coins elsewhere. He spent all of it in the surrounding counties. What was his son's plan? Zhang Zhong thought about it and decided to ask his son about it. He lifted his leg and walked to the back. When he found his son and daughter-in-law, the 2 of them were picking up fallen leaves. They were using the leaf stalks to compete with each other to see who could break the leaf stalk of the other. Father, you're here. Aren't you busy ahead? Zhang Xiaobao saw his father coming over and greeted him with a smile. Zhang Zhong looked at his son and daughter-in-law. He also picked up a leaf and walked to Zhang Xiaobao and said, "Let's compete with father." The 2 of them exerted force. Zhang Xiaobao, who had won 4 consecutive battles, was suddenly broken. He praised, "Father, you're still the best. What's so good about me? I can't guess why you keep sending money out. What's your plan? Tell me." Zhang Zhong threw away the leaf in his hand and asked, "Father, how can it be sending money? Didn't we buy things back? If the road is not repaired, buying things will delay things. Those things, when you take office, we'll take them and transport them to other places to sell. We'll sell them as we go. If there's the same thing, we'll buy it. If there's no more, we'll sell it. When we get there, we can at least earn twice the money. It's only 20,000 strings of coins to repair roads and rent land for others. There's also the money to buy all kinds of materials. 5,000 strings of coins. If we sell the goods, we'll get 70,000 strings of coins. Isn't that a profit of 10,000 strings of coins? In addition to the vegetables in the winter, even if we earn less, we'll still get a few thousand strings of coins. Other places can learn to grow crops, but they don't have the experience we have. They're definitely still figuring it out. Our vegetables can be sold to the capital. It's impossible for the capital to grow crops like us, right? There are many people there. Many people don't rely on farming for a living and don't have land. I estimate that this winter we can earn 10,000 strings of coins from our vegetables. This is the law of business. It's difficult to earn 1 copper coin with 1 copper coin. It's also difficult to earn 1 copper coin with 1 copper coin. It's too easy to earn 100 strings of coins with 100 strings of coins. I can earn 10 times or 20 times, but it's impossible to earn 10,000 strings of coins with 10,000 strings of coins. It's easier to earn 3,000 or 4,000 strings of coins with 10,000 strings of coins than to earn 100 strings of coins with 100 strings of coins. Zhang Xiaobao patiently explained to his father. Zhang Zhong felt that it made sense. So, we'll continue to spend money in the future? Of course. Before you leave, it's best if we can spend 100,000 strings of coins. Our rice can be used to make seeds. When the people in the surrounding counties and Huayuan County have money, they will naturally buy our seeds. We can't sell them like last year. How much would it be if we sold them for 20 copper coins per kilogram of seeds? Zhang Xiaobao continued to calculate. Zhang Zhong did a rough calculation of his family's land. If they could really sell it for this price, 3 zhuangzi, nearly 20,000 mu of land. The output of the last 2 zhuangzi was not as much as the original, but it was not little either. On average, the output of the upper and lower fields should be 3 dong per mu. 20,000 mu of land would be 60,000 dong. A stone would be 100 caddies. That would be 2 strings of coins. 60,000 dong would be 120,000 strings of coins? So much? Zhang Xiaobao knew what his father was thinking when he saw his father's expression. Father, it's not that much. How can 120,000 strings of coins be enough? The lower and middle fields can't be used as seeds. The last 2 zhuangzi and upper fields can only be used as seeds. If the upper fields can be used as seeds, it can only be sold for 10 copper coins per kilogram. We have to negotiate with the buyer. Including the money from selling the seeds and the food, it's not bad if we can get 40,000 strings of coins. Did you calculate that it's 20,000 mu of land? How can there be so much? There are mountains and hills. From one end of the hills to the other, it's 3 li to walk. It's more than 1,000 mu of land. Zhang Zhong finally reacted. It was not as much as he imagined. He would know how much it was when the output report came in 2 days. The output was calculated according to the upper, middle and lower fields. After all, only the upper fields could be used as seeds. Then do as my son said. Continue to buy. Sell the seeds to them while you buy. Keep enough for Sanshui County and Huayuan County. Sanshui County will still be producing middle fields next year. This year, someone said that Sanshui County's grain output is not as usual. It's 20% more than usual. It's not a small amount, especially for those who rent the land to plant. After paying the rent, the remaining 50% is more than 50%. Father, then you can continue to spend money. I will look for you when the rent tax is sent to Beijing before the new year. Zhang Xiaobao said to his father. After Zhang Zhong left, the two of them continued to play. Li Sun went through a lot of hardships and finally collected more than 300 jin of white fold seed. It was not because the white fold seed was not enough. It was because many cotton balls had been blown away by the wind when he collected them. If he had collected them outside when the Zhang family was harvesting, he could have collected more than 10 times. After removing the impurities and removing the seeds, there were about 290 jin left. Zhang Xiaobao kept 90 jin as processing fee, and made 30 sets of bedding for Li Sun. Li Sun scolded Zhang Xiaobao for being black-hearted, but he had to accept this. After all, it took a lot of manpower to pluck and spin. The most important thing was that thing that could remove the seeds. It was too tiring to take them out one by one. Xiaobao, can you tell me how to make that thing that can remove the seeds? I will plant it next year. Li Sun asked a little embarrassedly. He also knew how precious this thing was. He did not expect Zhang Xiaobao to agree very quickly. Okay, I will give you one. You will know what it is after you let someone dismantle it. If others ask you for it, you can tell them. If they ask me for it, I will keep it a secret and let them look for you. Really? Your family doesn't want to get more benefits from this thing? Li Sun asked in disbelief. My family wants to live more. Don't tell anyone about this first. After my family plants it over there next year, you also plant it here. When the white fold seed is produced and sold for money, then people will look for you. My family will be satisfied with 1 more year's worth of money. Zhang Xiaobao still knew what things should be kept for his family, and what things should be given away. Not to mention now, even in the past, how many rich people were punished for not obeying orders. Wasn't it easy to find some punishment? Li Sun happily agreed and brought back a flower-making machine for people to study. Zhang Xiaobao suddenly felt a little dispirited, but when he thought of the matter in the next few days, he suddenly became happy. There was still a month before the new year. Some places started to pay rent to the capital. Some places only started next year. Huayuan County was close, so they started to pay rent this year. There were also other counties that started to pay rent at the same time. Zhang Zhong originally arranged for someone else to go over, but Zhang Xiaobao found his father at this time. Father, there is something I need to tell you. This time you have to personally escort the things over. It is best to go with the surrounding counties and talk to their county magistrates and secretaries. It's like this. Zhang Xiaobao said as he put his hands in front of him. A lot of words were written on a piece of paper. Chapter 394. It rained in winter, and the winter clothes were cold. Thin ice covered the earth in the evening, and the river was still winding. Thousands of boats gathered and headed for the capital. Zhang Zhong contacted the county magistrates of several other counties and asked them to transport the goods to the capital together. After weighing the pros and cons, they all agreed. After the winter rain, the taxes of several counties were all transported to the wharf of Huayuan County. The fleet that had already been deployed leaned against one side and waited for the shipment. When the ships were loaded and set off one after another, the mighty fleet attracted the attention of everyone who saw it. Zhang Zhong went in person and invited the other county magistrates to do the same. The county magistrates felt that they should not miss such an opportunity. If the officials above gave them some benefits, they would let others take advantage of them. Therefore, under the hospitality of Zhang Zhong, they sat in the cabin of the Zhang family. They chatted on the way. A few days later, when they were about to arrive at the capital, Zhang Zhong said to everyone when they finished eating, "Everyone, I have something to discuss with you." Since the last competition in the Academy of Jianjia, the number of people had increased a lot. More than 400 people were studying in the academy together. The old man became a busy man. In addition to teaching in person, he also took care of some trivial things. One day, after giving a lecture to the students, Li Sun hurried over from Huayuan County while wearing a brand new cotton vest and strolling in the academy. When the old man saw Li Sun, he asked with a smile, "Little prince, did you find something interesting?" "Old minister, the Zhang family gave me something and asked me to install it on their ship. I asked someone to install it on the small boat. Look, I came here on the small boat." The boat also went on this river, which flowed toward the capital. The boat went on this river, and the water flowed. I sat there and watched the water flow until Li Sun's first two sentences were fine, but towards the end, he became incoherent. He pulled on the old man's sleeve and walked towards the river. The old man was very puzzled. When did Li Sun become so unsteady? As he was being dragged away, he said, "Little prince, don't be anxious. Take your time. I know you came from this river. Don't be anxious." "What are you talking about?" "Old minister, do you know how long it took me to get here from your nephew's dock?" Li Sun suppressed his excitement, but he couldn't control Wei Wei's trembling body and asked the old man, "How long did it take?" "If it was fast, it would take less than half a day. If it was slow, it would take more than half a day." "Could it be that you walked for an entire day?" "It's not even noon yet. Did you come out last night? You've only just arrived?" The old man estimated the time and asked. Li Sun shook his head vigorously and gestured with his other hand. "I came here from the dock at 5:15. It's now 9:15. How long do you think it took me?" "What? 3.5 hours? You came here from there? Did you fly? What's going on? Tell me." The old man didn't need to think carefully and said the time. He looked at Li Sun with suspicion, wondering if he was lying. Li Sun nodded. "It's almost the same as flying. You'll know when you get to the river." The 8 of us pushed hard at the same time. The boat went against the water and came here with a whoosh. The bow of the boat left the water from time to time. It couldn't be held down. "Is there such a thing? Is there such a thing?" The old man also became excited. He quickened his pace and jogged to follow Li Sun in that direction. This was all thanks to Shuiyunden's usual diet adjustment. Otherwise, his body definitely wouldn't be in its current state. The two of them ran to the riverside, and the boat stopped not far from the small bridge. The old man came closer and took a closer look. He saw that the back of this boat was different from other boats. There was a large groove dug out, and in the groove, there was something half exposed and half submerged in the water. The exposed part was about 6 feet long. There were also some connecting poles placed in 8 places in front of the boat. There was a person sitting there with his feet on the pedals. The old man recognized the pedals. It was something like a tricycle sent by Xiao Bao and Cuckoo a few days ago. Sitting on it and pedaling with his feet, the car could move forward. It was very convenient. There were also some replacement parts, saying that they were not made well and would break easily. He also wrote a letter to Lu Jiro, asking her to come quickly. "Old minister, it's this thing. Xiao Bao gave it to me and asked me to install it on the boat. The boat is not finished yet, so it was modified by other big boats. When you take it over, you can adjust the position. But this thing is too strange. I don't know what's going on." Li Sun helped the old man get on the boat and said. His voice was trembling like Wei Wei. The old man sat down doubtfully and waited to experience the speed. He didn't say anything. "Push hard and let the Lord see," Li Sun ordered and sat next to the old man. The 8 of them stretched out their hands and held onto the fixed handles. Then they began to kick quickly. The first few kicks were quite strenuous, and the boat swayed back and forth. As the 8 of them kicked faster and faster, the boat stopped swaying and moved forward. At first, the old man didn't feel anything, but he felt it was strange. It seemed to be different from the boats he knew before. Boats had 2 wheels on the side, but this one was at the back and he couldn't see the wheels. But after a few breaths, the old man was astonished. The speed of the boat had already surpassed all the boats they usually took. After waiting for a little while, the 8 people stood up and held onto the higher handrails. The moment their bodies swayed left and right, the bow of the boat suddenly swayed. The wind blew past his face, and the old man's hands were on the handrails on both sides. He turned his head and looked back, only to see the water behind the boat churning and ripples moving away. "Li Sun, what's going on? Why is it so fast?" The old man gasped for breath and shouted at Li Sun. What else could it be? This is something made by the Zhang family. As for why it's so fast, I don't know. But I know that if this thing is installed on a warship with 2 wheels on both sides, it can change direction at any time. Whether it's chasing or escaping, no boat can compete with it. Old minister, what should I do? Should I install it or not? No wonder they asked for a large amount of steel to make this thing. They also sent a lot of parts saying that it's easy to break. If at most 16 people push together, it'll probably take less than 4 hours or even less. They said that they didn't tell me about the bearing, friction, toughness and so on. I don't understand. Li Sun didn't know what to do. This thing was a sharp weapon. If it were anyone else, they wouldn't allow the Zhang family to use it. The old man was scared. If this was the speed of 8 people, wouldn't 16 people be even faster? He stroked his chest and said to Li Sun, "You can't do it now. Lu Jiro, the minister of the Ministry of Works, will be here soon. It'll probably be in 2 days. No wonder they sent me a tricycle. It's the same principle. Not to mention 4 hours, even if it breaks down in half an hour, it can decide the outcome of the battle at a critical moment. During a dogfight, if a few ships like this suddenly attack the opponent's main ship, the other ships won't have time to rescue them. Plus, with the clairvoyance, who can find the enemy first and make arrangements? In a naval battle, who can be the opponent? After 2 days, I'll continue to look for steel for the Zhang family. No, I can't just wait. I have to meet that person and have a good talk with him. I want to see what kind of person he is. Is there anything in this world that he doesn't know? Oh, maybe it's 2 people. According to the news I got, Song Jinggong said that it's a pair of swords. Amazing, there's actually such a person. Li Sun saw that he had the support of the old man and had an explanation for Zhang Xiaobao. So he nodded, "Old minister, how about we turn around and go back first? If it breaks down later, we'll have to repair it slowly." "Okay, let's go back." The old man wanted to drink some tea to calm his mind. "Stop, turn around," Li Sun ordered. The 8 people received the order and stopped moving. They picked up the oars and turned the direction little by little. At this time Li Sun said, "Old minister, if my ship is in a wide area, it can easily turn around without oars. There's a rudder. On the lake between the clouds and the water, I made a big circle on the way here." "Oh, then you can do the same on the river and the Yellow River. Write a letter to the Zhang family later." At this time the old man felt that his whole body was weak. He was too excited just now. The boat turned around and headed back. At this time the 8 people were not as fast as before. When they passed by the boats that had just passed by, the people on the boats all looked at Li Sun's boat in horror. They did not see anyone rowing, nor did they see anyone pushing. This boat flew past them like it was flying. With such a boat, even the seasonal fruits of Sichuan would dare to be transported to the capital. When the ship returned to between the clouds and the water, the old man shivered and came to the shore. He exhaled, looked back at the ship and commented, "Good stuff. The Zhang family has enjoyed too much. They want to use the things they made at home first." Old minister is right. But how can these things only be used at home? Li Sun also noticed this. For example, the Zhang family made the curved plows first because they had land. Also, the white folding blankets were made to keep the Zhang family warm in winter. At this time, a servant of the old man's family rushed over and said to the old man, "Master, Minister Lu from the Ministry of Works has arrived." He is waiting for you at between the clouds and the water. Oh, he came so quickly. Come with me. The old man was happy and walked to between the clouds and the water first. At a door on the second floor, the old man's figure appeared. When he saw Lu Jiro, both of them said at the same time, "Something big happened." After they finished speaking, both of them were stunned at the same time and said again, "You know? Old minister, you go first." Lu Jiro said. The old man laughed. "Minister Lu, you go first. I don't think we are talking about the same thing. My matter should be told outside by the river." By the river? That's not it. My matter is in the capital and has nothing to do with the river. Old minister, you can't imagine what that Zhang did. He joined forces with the county magistrates of the surrounding counties and listed the matters of some counties. After that, he asked for the counties to be merged into a province. The mountains and rivers over there are all connected and there are all kinds of things. Did they mention the lake? The old man sighed with emotion. He couldn't believe that the Zhang family had set up the scheme like this. It seemed that as long as they gave the Zhang family a little chance, they could infinitely magnify this opportunity and arrange the overall situation unknowingly or when they were clearly watching. Even if you stared at every place, you couldn't guess what they wanted to do and what their final goal was. Even now, who dared to say that the Zhang family didn't have a backup plan? Who could say that the Zhang family's chess game had reached the end? At this time, Lu Jiro's movements and expressions slowed down because she kept thinking about things in her head. After the old man finished speaking, he said after a while, "Yes, they mentioned the lake. They can train a navy in the lake. It said that they will use a new thing that can make the ships faster and we don't have to worry about the capital anymore. A navy is enough. Old minister, do you know what it is?" "I know. How could I not know? When I just got off the ship it was like flying." "I see. Why did they give me a tricycle? They transferred you here to tell me about this matter. Even the timing was perfect. They installed the little prince's ship and brought me here to let me know and tell you. Isn't that right, little prince?" As the old man spoke, he suddenly turned to Li Sun. Lu Jiro also looked at Li Sun. Li Sun's face was pale. He sat down on the floor and slowly took out a thick envelope from his arms. He licked his lips and said, "It's true. It's true. Old Minister Lu, when I came here, Xiaobao gave me these things. He said that if I happened to meet someone from the capital between the clouds and the water and that person happened to be Minister Lu, I should give this letter to Minister Lu. If I didn't meet him, I should burn it. Now that Minister Lu is here, I should give it to Minister Lu." Today I have seen what it means to have a perfect plan. Minister Lu, please. Lu Jiro was already unable to move. Li Sun's words made her and the old man feel cold all over and their hands and feet numb. The two of them never thought that the person behind the Zhang family would be able to calculate things to this extent. What else could he not calculate? Fortunately, there was still a waiter guarding the door. Seeing that Li Sun was about to give something to Lu Jiro and the three of them were still motionless, he ran forward and handed the envelope to Lu Jiro. He then quietly retreated to the door and stood there, but his heart was not calm at all. He was sent by the inner courtyard of the main family. He knew who was the most powerful in this aspect. As long as the young master was willing to help, there was no need to be afraid of any trouble. No matter what difficulty was, it could be solved. The young master and young lady had always been gentle to the inner courtyard and the villagers. He had seen the young master make a move several times. Every time the people who came to cause trouble were defeated. At that time he was already in awe of the young master. He did not expect that today, even two ministers and a marquis would be involved. His future days would be better. If the young master could even calculate the ministers, what would he be afraid of? The old man, Lu Jiro, and Li Sun did not know that the waiter was secretly laughing. Lu Jiro opened the envelope and took out a piece of paper from inside. She carefully looked at it. The more she looked, the more surprised she became. She raised her head and met the old man's gaze. "Old minister, this is the blueprint for the propeller. If you follow the instructions on it, you can make the propeller. This is the last page. Give the one on the little prince's ship to me. I'll compare it. After you make it, don't forget to leave a few for the Zhang family. The Zhang family has great use for it. The Zhang family will not make the same thing themselves in the future. Old minister, I want to see that person. I don't know if you can help me send a letter. The Marquis of Wu is very capable. I won't make any requests. Just seeing him is enough. I won't send troops to capture him. This person is very good at calculation. If by any chance, he leaves the Zhang family and goes to seek refuge somewhere else, my dynasty will not be able to afford to lose him. This old man has the same idea. I can only write a letter to the Zhang family's children and ask them. If possible, you and I will go together and tell them what the Zhang family's intentions are. Do they want to stay and not leave? The old man happily agreed. As for whether they could succeed or not, that was not important. Lu Jiro was a minister. When she analyzed things, she was much better than Li Sun. She thought for a moment and said, "This is to pave the way for Zhang Zhong. Zhang Zhong is only a county magistrate right now, a lower 7th rank official. Originally, I thought that the Zhang family would change Huayuan County to an upper county and let Zhang Zhong be a lower 6th rank official. This way, if he was placed there, he would be a lower province's minister of war, a lower 6th rank official. If he was promoted, it would be easier for the higher-ups to explain. Or maybe he would be a lower province's governor, a lower 6th rank official. Both are not bad. Unfortunately, the Zhang family doesn't think so. No matter how good these two positions are, they can't be compared to a provincial governor. If this is feasible, even though it's a new province, it's still Zhongzhou. Since Zhang Zhong has put in so much effort, he should have a share of it, right? It also has to be a good position. 5th rank is easy. If Zhang Zhong is no longer an official in Xinzhou, he will be exiled voluntarily or by someone. Then the higher-ups will naturally compensate him. The Zhang family plans to arrange for Zhang Zhong to be a lower province's provincial governor. This is a lower 4th rank official. Good ability, good calculation. When the time comes, it will be done by the assistant minister of the Ministry of Works. Even if he hides behind, the higher-ups will still be able to find out. Even if they can't find out, don't they still have me? After offering things again and again, in the end, he gave the Ministry of Works a blueprint. And the Ministry of War will also intervene. At the last moment, he was framed by the people of the Ministry of Works and sent to the most remote place. Even if the emperor doesn't promote him, it won't make sense. Old minister, don't you think so? Lu Jiro put everything together and finally analyzed what the Zhang family wanted to do. They didn't want a mere deputy official position, and directly wanted to be a provincial governor. They pushed a province and gave such a big gift. In addition to the things they offered before and the status of Zhuangyuan, all of this was calculated. The old man also thought of this and added, if it's only like this, the emperor may directly pull him to the capital and give him a 5th rank official. But the most important thing is the Zhang family's ability. No matter where they are, they can always make the people there live well. The power of a village can make the people of Sanshui City live a good life. The power of a county can make the surrounding counties live a good life. Then, if Zhang Zhong is placed in the worst place, can the Zhang family also make the people there live a good life? Increase the rent and tax? This is what the emperor is thinking. If the worst place is taken care of, Zhang Zhong can also go to the worst places. It's nothing more than increasing the title and empty position. The people behind the Zhang family are calculating their temperament. I'm old. I really want to see what the Zhang family can do outside. Li Sun was also listening to the conversation between the two of them. His status made it impossible for the two of them to chase him out. As he listened, he suddenly said, I've decided. I'll tell my imperial uncle in advance that my fief will follow the Zhang family. Wherever his family goes, I'll go. Even if the land is smaller, I'll agree to it even if I don't have to live in it. Chapter 396. Lu Jiro's words made Li Sun somewhat unconvinced. Minister Lu, who do you think can be better than me and the Zhang family? I don't need to have anything to do with Zhang Zhong. Ask Xiaobao and Cuckoo. Who do they want to be with them? Without waiting for Minister Lu to speak, the old man said, Little prince, if possible, you really should follow the Zhang family. Learn more. Look at Xiaobao and Cuckoo, these two children. They always make people feel at ease when they talk and do things. How could the Marquis say those words before? Old Minister Lu is right. Little prince should indeed follow the Zhang family. The Zhang family is very capable. Look at the Zhang family. They always leave a way out. When they have a way to make a lot of money and good technology, they never hide it. They directly take it out and give what should be given and what should be given. With this kind of grasp, people who are really powerful won't deliberately look for trouble. Only those who don't open their eyes want to suppress the Zhang family to improve themselves. What's the result? Lu Jiro was also teaching Li Sun on the side. She found that the little prince, who was arrogant and despotic in the capital, had changed. If she met him outside, people who didn't know him would only think that this child was good. She didn't feel the original sharpness of relying on his identity. Perhaps this was what he learned from the Zhang family. The Zhang family did so many things, especially when they encountered forces that deliberately made things difficult for them. At the beginning, they were always so peaceful. They took a step back and then another step back. When they retreated, they dug a trap. When they didn't want to retreat and counterattacked, that kind of sharpness could grasp the opponent between life and death. The Zhang family was like a net. At first, it was soft and made people feel that they could break through any place. Those who didn't know what was good for them would let the net shrink when they touched it. This was called spinning a cocoon around oneself. Li Sun also understood. Even if he really followed the Zhang family, it was impossible for him to be infeft. Even if he and the Zhang family were good, there were other marquises, princes, and some big families. Wouldn't they send people to contact the Zhang family? It was impossible for him to drive away everyone who wanted to get close to the Zhang family. He only had one advantage, and that was that he was on good terms with Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Usually, if he didn't find them to play with, they would find something good for him, or they would make something delicious and invite him to eat with them. Thinking of this, Li Sun said seriously, I know what to do. In the past, the Zhang family wanted to rely on me and didn't dare to offend me. But now, they still want to give me benefits. This is definitely not the reason. With the power of the Zhang family, they don't need to care about a marquis. No matter how powerful a marquis is, what can I do to a top scorer? Sun Xian was beaten to death. Imperial uncle doesn't care so much. If I really have a conflict with an official, I will be punished. Little prince, it's good that you think this way. I heard that the little prince is sick and can't move at all. Little prince, you have to take care of yourself. Lu Jiro suddenly said at this time. She was already an adult, but she still winked at Li Sun. Li Sun was not stupid. He immediately understood what she meant. He held his head with both hands and said, My head hurts. Why does my head hurt so much? No, I have to find a doctor. Ha ha ha. The old man laughed first. He pointed at Li Sun and said, After being with Xiaobao and Cuckoo for a long time, you actually know how to play tricks. Tomorrow, I will have my son bring a few doctors to visit you. It will probably take a few days before they arrive. Little prince, you must not be careless. You have to take care of yourself when you are sick. Li Sun laughed and said, That is to say, when Zhang Zhong goes to a poor place, he will be a provincial governor? He has the final say in a province. If I really go with him, Minister Lu, will you give the new propeller to the Zhang family? Of course, how can we not? The Zhang family said in the letter that they asked the Ministry of Works to keep a few for them. This is giving face to the Ministry of Works. If they can make one, they can make a second one. It is nothing more than telling the court that the Zhang family understands the rules, and what can be done, and what cannot be done. The Zhang family knows this very well. Don't think that there is a lack of stainless steel. The Zhang family has already mined a lot of coal. With the ability of the Zhang family, is it difficult to make some stainless steel? The Zhang family has a choice. Are the Ministry of Works and the Ministry of War not sensible children? Ever since the Zhang family made the sand table and military map, the people from the Ministry of War began to pay attention to the Zhang family. Also, the Ministry of War has already found people to try out the design of the ship. They propose to modify 10 ships at once. If the people from the Ministry of War also come to rope us in, won't I, as the Minister of Works, fall behind? Lu Jiro had a lot of things to consider, not only the use of this thing but also some things in the court. Then let's take this thing back first. I will also go back to Huayuan County. Li Sun had a plan in his heart and knew how to tell Zhang Xiaobao. There is no need to take it back. Just do it according to these drawings first. This time I brought a lot of people. If they really can't do it, then we can take that thing apart. I still don't know how fast it is, so I will go and see. Lu Jiro didn't want to go back. There must be people from the Ministry of War waiting there. The last time she came here, she was already targeted by them. What if she was discovered again? The old man had already experienced it once, but he still wanted to experience it again. The three people came out of between the clouds and the water one after another and boarded the ship. Following Li Sun's order, the old man was laughing heartily all the way, but Lu Jiro's expression was serious. Fast, it was really too fast. The 8 of them worked hard. From time to time, the bow of the ship would be swayed by the current because it was not heavy enough. While it was moving up and down, Lu Jiro suddenly asked, "What will happen if this thing is put on the sea? Can it be bigger?" "On the sea? You will have to ask the little prince. The little prince is planning to make a ship. As for whether it can be bigger, you will have to ask the people from the Zhang family." This time the old man wasn't as nervous as last time. He said in a relaxed manner. In Huayuan County, in the swimming pool of Yaowang Mountain, 56 people were still swimming in the water. At this time, everyone was carrying 20 kilograms of weight, but no one would shrink back because of this. The sound of splashing water was constantly heard. Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao also swam with them. Of the 2 of them, one was carrying a weight while the other was not. Wang Wan usually played in the swimming pool, and in addition to her familiarity with the water, she swam faster than the 56 people. Although she was a child in the water, whoever could display their ability better would be able to swim faster. Needless to say, Zhang Xiaobao had a natural affinity for water. After the flood, he vowed to become stronger in the water. From fear to conquest, and then to assimilation, Zhang Xiaobao's understanding of water had reached a terrifying level. Wang Wan had been specially trained, and her movements were standard. Whether it was the breaststroke, butterfly or freestyle, most of the time, her body was moving in the water, and she would only take a breath after a certain distance. Don't give up, you are the most powerful guards. Rhythm, pay attention to the rhythm, swim for me, the water is not cold, swim, look ahead a little, find a goal for yourself, don't look far away, just look at the front, believe in yourself, I can do it, go. Wang Wan encouraged the 56 people while swimming. Zhang Xiaobao stuck closely to Wang Wan. It was unknown how he moved, but every time he swam, the current would not only not exhaust Wang Wan's strength, but also make her feel much more relaxed. Look at the young master and the young lady just in front, swim 1-2-1-2, relax, spread your arms, steady, no one is allowed to rush. Huzi also shouted, but every shout was very strenuous. He did not want to support Wang Wan with Zhang Xiaobao's special swimming beside her. The rest of the 55 people adjusted their breathing and frequency, no longer thinking of following Taidu. Their eyes were fixed on the young master, who was also carrying weights. The 5 caddies of sand calculated according to the weight of the body did not affect the young master in the slightest. At this time they really saw the young master's swimming ability. Like a fish, the young master was always faster than others at the same frequency. This was already the 10th round trip and also the last one-way trip. No one wanted to give up, and they clenched their teeth and persevered. Even if they felt weak all over, even if there were stars in front of them, they still closed their eyes and persevered according to their own frequency. When Wang Wan reached the end, she exerted strength under her feet, and Zhang Xiaobao supported Wang Wan from below. She jumped directly to the shore and lay there, gasping for breath. Zhang Xiaobao suddenly sank into the water and floated up again. He waved at the 56 people and let them go first. When the last one, Huzi, also climbed up, Zhang Xiaobao circled in the water, and with this force directly jumped up in the water. He put his hands on the edge of the pool, and his whole body soared into the air. When he landed, his feet touched the ground first. The 56 people were dumbfounded by what they saw. Wang Wan was also stunned. She pulled Zhang Xiaobao and asked, "What are you?" "It's nothing. I'm used to the water. You can treat me as a cool man." Zhang Xiaobao was indeed not tired. When he swam, he could control the details. "Then you will stay in the sea in the future. You are not allowed to go ashore. Maybe a mermaid will take a fancy to you." Wang Wan helped Zhang Xiaobao remove the weight on his body and said. Zhang Xiaobao did not avoid it and directly massaged Wang Wan. Wang Wan shouted as she swam, and her physical strength was too exhausted. The others also divided into pairs and helped massage there. "Xiaobao, when will you leave? I really can't bear to leave." Wang Wan was massaged for a while and turned over to ask, "No matter what, we have to wait for the ice in the Yellow River to melt. When we are there, ordinary people can't control us. If you want to raise dogs, find a few there. If you want to train people, there are many ethnic minorities there. Remember to integrate. Don't be like Yang Guozhong, foolishly happy and determined to destroy the human race." In the end, he was defeated twice in a row and many people died. Zhang Xiaobao clenched his fist and massaged Wang Wan's leg. "I'm not that kind of person. Xiaobao, I know that you have a big plan this time. It's not just to give your father a good position over there, right? I have seen the ability of international swindlers with my own eyes. None of them are easy to deal with." Chapter 397. Except for Zhang Xiaobao, no one had expected that the county magistrate of Huaiyuan County, Zhang Zhong, would suddenly do such a thing. The court was in a heated argument. The only one who didn't participate was the Minister of Works, Lu Jiro. He was leading a group of people to make a new propeller. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had already drawn the diagram, and the theory was clearly written in the language of the time. However, people's thinking was limited. If it were Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who were still in junior high school, they would know what to do when they saw this kind of theory. However, the people in the Ministry of Works couldn't understand it no matter how they thought about it because these things involve too much basic knowledge. Geniuses would only appear at times like this. Lu Jiro's distant relative, Lu Feidong, looked at the drawing and then looked at the real thing. He used the fastest speed to dismantle the propeller that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan put together. He said to Lu Jiro, "Uncle, I know what to do. In fact, it's just a frame." Lu Jiro looked at his distant nephew's actions and was stunned. Before he could encourage him, someone next to him said, "Lord Lu's nephew is really amazing." After hearing what he said, "I also know. It's really too simple. Just these things. Let people make them according to their appearance and then put them together." Lu Jiro still didn't have time to speak. His nephew Lu Feidong said, "Bullshit, do you really think it's that simple? Do you really think you can make it just by looking at it and following it? Tell me, how do you make the round beads of the same size in this thing put together? What kind of oil is it? Look at this oil yourself. What kind of weather is it now? When people are shivering from the cold, the oil won't solidify. When it's put on the ground, it will spread slowly. Do you know what this oil is for? It's for these small beads to spin faster." The person was ashamed by Lu Feidong's words, but he didn't dare to refute. He really didn't know what was going on with this oil. When the weather was cold, other oils would generally solidify, but this oil was fine. Lu Jiro didn't care about those things. Seeing that her subordinates couldn't answer, she coldly snorted and said, "Back down. You only know how but don't know why. You're a good for nothing." "Uncle, you called for me?" Lu Feitong turned around and asked. "Well, even if I called you, do you know what this thing is?" Lu Jiro asked Lu Feitong. She felt very proud when she saw her distant nephew dismantle and put the thing back together. Lu Feidong could not theorize this thing, but he could understand the meaning behind it. He dipped his finger in some oil and put it in his mouth. He tasted it, but he still did not know what it was. "Uncle, it's like this. When someone steps on this thing, it will spin. The way it spins is different. When a person steps on it, as long as he has enough strength to step on it, it will spin 10 times. After that, it will be like a person paddling, pushing the water. In fact, it is pushing the person while pushing the water." "Uncle, do you understand?" "I don't understand. Why is a person pushing a person into the water?" Lu Jiro really didn't understand. "I also don't know. Just a feeling. Lu Feidong also didn't know how to explain it. This big brother, do you really know that you give a force to the water and the water also gives you a force? A clear and sweet voice sounded in everyone's ears. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw a 7 or 8-year-old girl standing there, wearing a red dress made of an unknown material. Her pair of lively big eyes kept looking around. When Lu Feidong saw this girl, he felt that this girl was very cute. He simply smiled and said, I know. I've been thinking about it, but I just don't understand. The little girl nodded. Of course you don't understand, because you're not a member of Zhangjia Zhuangzi. This is called the interaction of forces. When the points of contact produce a response, everything is inertial because of the force. The transmission of force, if subdivided, is always intermittent. It's just that the intermittent time is too short to feel it. Even light is the same. As long as your speed or perception exceeds the speed of light, then you can see the intermittent light. The same goes for resistance. This thing's function is to use the intermittent inertia to offset the intermittent resistance. The shorter the intermittent time of the power, the faster the speed, or the smaller the intermittent force of the resistance, the faster the speed. If both the resistance and the force of the object were sustainable, then the smaller the area of the propelling force, the greater the force at this point and the faster the speed. This resistance depended on the density. When flying and when on water, the density was different, so the resistance would be different. Even if matter only exists in terms of mass, it also has density. This density is not eternal, but it can exceed the speed of light, so light can't be transmitted. This is gravity. Gravity is also a kind of existence. Since it can bind light, it means that it's faster than light. In fact, light also has mass, but it's not easy to detect. As long as it has mass, it has gravity. If it can't escape, it means that its speed is not fast enough. What I mean is that the resistance is not the problem. The power and the density of the contact point are the key to speed. Do you understand? Lu Feidong was dumbfounded. Not only him, but all the people around him were dumbfounded when they heard the little girl's words. What nonsense was this? It was just something made of stainless steel. How could there be so many problems? Looking at everyone's expressions, the little girl lowered her head sadly and muttered, I shouldn't stay here. I should go find Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. They'll understand. The things I learned were also written in the books sent by the Zhang family. At this moment, the little girl seemed very lonely. The few people around her also heard her words, but they didn't understand what she meant. Only the old man sighed and said to the little girl, Lu go to Huayuan County. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo are waiting for you. Yes, I won't tell them. They're very, very stupid. I've explained it so clearly, but they still don't understand. I'll go find Xiao Bao and Cuckoo and tell them. They'll understand, Lu said sadly. Lu I also know that in reality, speed refers to the force produced by the ship after it cancels out the resistance the ship encounters. If this force is greater than the ship's gravity, then the ship will move. The greater the ratio, the faster the ship will move. At this time, a 12 or 13-year-old boy joined in. He was a student at the academy. Lu heard the voice and looked up. She smiled at the boy and said, yes, whoever can balance the nature of the force and resistance, and who can make the pressure point of the force be more concentrated, will be able to move faster under the circumstances of the same force and resistance. The boy and Lu looked at each other and smiled. They felt that they were no longer lonely. The boy said to Lu go to the academy and have a look. Although you're still young, I believe that no one will dare to look down on you. Then I'll also look for my brothers and sisters from the Zhang and Wang families. Only now do I know that I'm not from the same world as them. Lu led the newcomer towards the academy, not forgetting to point at the others as she spoke. Everyone was stunned, including the old man and Lu Jiro. They did not understand what Lu said at all. It was like listening to a bunch of books. Lu Feitong, on the other hand, was full of excitement. Uncle, I want to go to that academy. I can learn things that I didn't know before there. Lu Jiro did not know whether to laugh or cry. Feidong, no matter which academy you go to, you'll learn things that you didn't know before. However, this academy will not teach what you just heard. If you want to learn, there is only one place, the Yamen of Huayuan County. Uncle will take you there tomorrow. If it's feasible, you can learn there. In the Yamen of Huayuan County, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were still training the 56 people. Wang Wan asked someone to make some training equipment and taught the others how to do it, such as the parallel bars. She did not know how to do it herself. It was not that she did not know how to do it, but she did not dare to. She was afraid that her arm strength could not support her weight. This kind of basic training was to increase the strength of muscles in all parts of the body. The floor of the parallel bars was covered with thick cotton mats. There was also a doctor waiting by the side. If anyone was injured, the doctor would be able to treat them in time. There was also a horizontal bar on the side. Zhang Xiaobao climbed up the bar on one side and did 12 pull-ups there. Then he climbed down the bar on the side. 12? Comrade Zhang Xiaobao, you only did 12? Wang Wan asked. Go up and try. See how many you can do. I bet you that I can't do more than 5 of these 56 people. Do you believe me? Zhang Xiaobao said to Wang Wan, not thinking that he did not do enough. Wang Wan smiled. Don't compare yourself with them. Compare yourself with how you used to be. How many could you do before? How old was I before? How old am I now? Don't always talk about me. Climb up and compare yourself with how you used to be. Zhang Xiaobao began to rub his arms. Just now, he had done 12 of them because of his tenacity. When it came to the 6th one, it was already very strenuous. He gritted his teeth and persevered. Wang Wan also understood that this part of the muscles had nothing to do with normal training. Even if you could lift a 200-pound stone at will, you could not do pull-ups without training. Looking at Zhang Xiaobao rubbing his arms, she said, I couldn't do half in the beginning. If I do one now, will I surpass myself? In the past I could do one. Now I can do 12. If you can't do 12, then it means that I'm better than you both in the past and now. Zhang Xiaobao wasn't stupid. Wasn't it just lowering the previous results? Let's see who will lower. Then you are better than me. Xiaobao, let me ask you, what kind of ethnic policy will you adopt when your father goes there? Don't kill people in the name of integration. History is too far away from us. I only look at what is in front of me. Wang Wan did not want to compare, but changed the topic. I don't like to kill people unless someone wants me and my family to die. It's just some ethnic minorities. It's simple. Get rid of the ambitious people and the rest is easy. We can talk about it when the time comes. In fact, through my understanding, I found that the ethnic minorities and the people in the Central Plains are mostly the same, except for some different customs. Some people will sow discord in order to maintain their ruling position. Do the real people care about who is in power? Usually, there is not much hatred between people. It is not important to say that the ethnic minorities kill the people in the Central Plains, and it is not important to say that the people in the Central Plains kill the ethnic minorities. What is important is who is making use of the people in the middle. This kind of person is the most hateful. Are there no conflicts between neighbors? Are there any less killings between brothers? Are there not many in the Xuanwu sect? So, I plan to see who is the most active person when I go there. If he wants to destroy other ethnic groups, I will destroy him. Chapter 398. When the first light snow fell, the snow fell. Zhang Zhong finally came back from the capital, followed by those county magistrates who were in a happy mood. At this time, no one scolded Zhang Zhong for being stupid, but they kept thanking him. They also admitted that the Zhang family was an unusual family. Even if there were fewer people, it was for the sake of the family. What the Zhang family had done in the past few years was like a legend, one after another, which made people understand. But when someone really made a conclusion, it was so bizarre. This was the ability of the Zhang family. In the future, these county magistrates could hold their positions and not move, or they could go to the new province to do things. In that case, they would have less power, but their ranks could be promoted. As for the provincial governor, it was impossible for Zhang Zhong to be the provincial governor of Zhongzhou province. The rank of this position was too high, the power was too great, and it was also a piece of delicious cake. Many people wanted to be the provincial governor, unless the Zhang family could use other means. Zhang Zhong didn't know the thoughts of these county magistrates, Nor was he in the mood to think about it. He just wanted to go home early and make the two families happy. He knew clearly that it was impossible for him to stay here and be the provincial governor. It was not that he couldn't. If his son wanted to, there seemed to be nothing impossible. But there was not much development here. If he really became the provincial governor of a newly established state, there would be almost no disobedient people. However, the development of this place had reached a certain point. The lives of the people would be good. Unless the new provincial governor was a simple-minded person like County Magistrate 1, the life of this place would only get better. If he really met such a person, he would have to ask his son to do something. This place was close to Sanshui County, and there were many businesses in the family. It was the foundation of the Zhang family. Even if he left, he couldn't let others touch it. Thinking of his son's ability, Zhang Zhong showed a gratified smile. He didn't know what his son and daughter-in-law were busy with these days. It was definitely not as simple as it looked. It was very likely that they were arranging things after leaving and waiting for someone who wanted to touch this place. County Magistrate Chung of Sanyuan County suddenly thought of something and asked Zhang Zhong with uncertainty, "County Magistrate Zhang, I heard that you will leave this place after the new year. What about our counties in Huayuan County?" The county magistrates of the other 5 counties also looked at Zhang Zhong. They had the same concerns. With Zhang Zhong around, those few counties could cooperate well with Huayuan County and even Sanshui County. If Zhang Zhong was not around, would the others really care about the people like Zhang Zhong? What if a greedy and poor county magistrate came up? What should the others do? How many county magistrates could be like Zhang Zhong? Not only did his own family earn money, but he also benefited the people and made other places rich as well. The Zhang family's ability to earn money made Zhang Zhong not need to waste his efforts to be greedy, or to betray the interests of the county for bribes. What County Magistrate Chung said is also what we are thinking. County Magistrate Zhang, without you in the future, the few counties may not develop like they are now. If there is a greedy county magistrate, the lives of the people will be difficult. The county magistrate of Yunyang County also chimed in. He knew in his heart that he wanted to be a little greedy, let alone others. If it wasn't for the fact that Zhang Zhong's booklet gave him too much pressure, he would have taken home a few thousand strings of coins by now. He now understood Zhang Zhong's character. If he wanted money, he would give it to him. If he wanted political achievements, he would give it to him. If he wanted to exploit the people, he would just wait for death. This kind of official was too rare. Usually they were honest officials and their families were not rich. But Zhang Zhong's family had a lot of money. Zhang Zhong heard the two people's questions and looked at the other people's expressions. He was worried. He didn't know what would happen here in the future. He was anxious to go back and ask his son. His son should have thought about it. Looking at the scenery by the river, the depression was full of hope. In the cold weather, there were still people strolling here, and they were all strong young men. Zhang Zhong knew what these people wanted to do. It was the notice that he had issued in the past that asked people who had nothing to do to walk by the river when they were free. It was better for those who were good at swimming. If someone fell into the water, they could jump in to save him. After all, this was not Huayuan County, and there were no boats patrolling here and there. After saving someone, under normal circumstances, the person being saved was basically a merchant. They would give their savior some benefits. Huayuan County would also give some rewards. To Zhang Zhong it wasn't much, just 100 or so coins. However, to the commoners it was quite a lot. When the other county magistrates saw that Zhang Zhong did not answer, they thought that he did not want to talk about this matter. They changed the topic and said, "County Magistrate Zhang, I have decided to let the Yamen runners patrol here in the future. They will learn from you and recruit some idlers into the Yamen." That's good. If there is a flood, send more people to various places. Boats are expensive in other places. You can ask between the clouds and the water. It is cheaper there. To be honest, my boats there were all made by my family's shipyard. We can sell them to the Yamen as capital. Zhang Zhong was now focused on being a good official. When others mentioned the boat, he decided to sell the capital of his family's shipyard to the Yamen. The county magistrate was happy when he heard this. Don't worry, County Magistrate Zhang. The boats we bought will not be sold at a higher price. They will all be used in the yamen. People who come and go on this river say that they are least worried about the section between Sanshui County and Huayuan County. Not to mention accidentally falling into the water. Even if you tied a stone to your body and jumped into the water, you will not die. While they were talking, a boat approached them. There was a flag at the bow of the boat with a rice seedling painted on it. When they saw the flag, they knew that the people from the Zhang family had come. The Zhang family also had their own fleet. They usually did not go far. They took short-term jobs within the range of the two counties. At the same time, they were responsible for checking the situation on the river. There was a clairvoyant on each boat. Zhang Zhong stood forward and looked at the approaching boat. He asked the person who was also standing at the bow of the boat, "What are you doing here?" "I am going back soon." In response to Master's question, "Our family sent a letter saying that you have encountered a little trouble. It will be solved after you read the letter." The person on the boat tied the letter to a bamboo pole and handed it to Zhang Zhong. Zhang Zhong was a little confused. He did not know why his family sent a letter. He did not have any trouble. When he took the letter, the boat from his family had already brushed past him. County Magistrate Zhang's family is better. They have their own fleet and it is convenient to do things, a county magistrate said enviously. A county magistrate said enviously. The other county magistrates nodded in agreement. It was indeed different to have their own business. This time they were supposed to stay at the resting point in the capital city. Their official rank was low, so it was very uncomfortable to stay there. In the end, they were led by Zhang Zhong to the restaurant opened by his family. They chose a room and did not need to spend any money on food and drinks. These days they were very comfortable. Zhang Zhong smiled and did not say anything. In his heart, he knew that it was all thanks to his son. His son always wanted his family to have a better life. Before he left, he would make proper arrangements. At home it was needless to say. Not only were his family members comfortable, but even the people in the inner courtyard were also the same. Regardless of whether it was day or night, there was tea, hot water for bathing, food and so on. The people in the inner courtyard took turns to keep watch at night. They also found 2 doctors and a medical doctor, which made the house much more stable. In addition to the previous doctor, the 3 doctors each stayed for 8 hours. When they encountered a difficult illness, they would go to the medical doctor. In this way, the people in the inner courtyard did not have to worry when they were resting. When they were working, they worked hard. It was like a big family, making people feel comfortable living in such a house. Thinking of home, Zhang Zhong opened the letter with a smile. After reading it from the beginning, he sighed softly and said to the other county magistrates who were waiting, "There is a new business at home. I don't know if you are interested in participating. I don't dare to say too much, but 50 strings of coins per month is still okay." The county magistrates did not expect that Zhang Zhong would immediately lead them to make money after reading a letter. Needless to say, the Zhang family's ability was obvious. The output of farming was twice as high as other people's. In business, other people might lose money, but the Zhang family definitely could not. 50 strings of coins per month, that was 600 strings of coins per year. Even a year's salary was not so much. A 7th-grade external official only had 1,750 strings of coins per month. Adding the other 350 strings of coins, it was only 2 strings of coins and 100 strings of coins in total. That was 50 strings of coins per month. According to Zhang Zhong's words, the money was considered little. It was more than 20 times the salary. County Magistrate Cheng, who had just spoken, immediately expressed his position. "County Magistrate Zhang, we are willing to do this. What is it?" Zhang Zhong shook the paper in his hand and said, "It's simple. Each family will send 20 to 30 people to help deliver letters and things here. If you go by water, my family will take care of the ship. If you go by land, you will need the cooperation of the county magistrates. This is called the express delivery. In the future, the entire province and Sanshui County will be together. Don't be in a hurry to be promoted. Stay in this position for 3 to 5 years. When I come back, I will naturally make arrangements for you. Take advantage of this time to earn more money and take care of your own county. The next county magistrate of Huayuan County is the chief librarian who is promoted now. You don't have to worry. I will tell him what to do. I have already prepared a profitable business for his family. In the future, he will continue to do things like I do. He can still earn 100 strings of coins per month. If he dares to be greedy and dare to sell the interests of the county, you don't have to do anything. Someone will naturally do it. You must also remember to treat the people well. Fix the road so that it will be more convenient for the express delivery. There is a requirement for the person who will be chosen. Rain or shine, from Sanshui County to the farthest county. You will only be given 2 days. You must arrive within 24 hours. When the people are rich, there are also rich businessmen and some nobles who live here. They need this kind of express delivery. It is very easy to earn 50 strings of coins per month. Zhang Zhong was confident in this matter. Ordinary people might take a long time to deliver a letter, but they endured it. However, some people hoped that the sooner the better. If several counties worked together, whether it was by land or by water, they could deliver the letter in 2 days. Chapter 399. Several county magistrates who were standing at the side immediately understood what Zhang Zhong meant. He didn't want to give up the entire province even after he left. There would be a new provincial governor in the province, and some other officials who would do other things. However, no matter what, the province couldn't be separated from the 7 counties that were united. As long as the people in the province went too far, the 7 counties could compete with the provincial yamen. More than 50 strings of coins per person per month was actually to prevent them from being greedy and accepting bribes. In this way, the province couldn't catch them, and they didn't need to worry about the provincial governor finding excuses. Thinking of this, the county magistrates felt that the weather seemed to be colder. Zhang Zhong was too meddlesome. But after thinking about it, they had to do this unless they were willing to surrender. County Magistrate Zhang, I think this is a good idea. I'd rather be a level 7 county magistrate than a level 6 idle official. At most, I'll have a few more acres of land. How can it compare with a monthly income of 50 strings of coins? County Magistrate Zhang can rest assured. What County Magistrate Zhang was like when he left the yamen of Sanyuan County will only be better when he returns. The County Magistrate of Sanyuan County expressed his opinion, and the county magistrates of other counties also followed. They were waiting for Zhang Zhong to be promoted after he came back. Others might not have this ability, but the Zhang family could. Well said, well said. In the future, as long as I have a way to make money, I will take you with me. When we go back, go to the yamen and take a few kilograms of black fungus back to taste. Seeing that the matter was easily solved, Zhang Zhong happily told the county magistrates. He decided that when he went back, he would give each of them 10 kilograms of black fungus. As for whether they would keep it for themselves or give it to Shangguan, it was not up to him to decide. They talked and laughed easily on the boat and returned to the yamen of Huayuan County in the middle of the night. After settling them in Jinlai Tower, Zhang Zhong hurried home and wanted to ask his son. As a result, he found that his son and daughter-in-law didn't come back. They stayed in Yaowang Mountain. Suppressing the urge to look for him, Zhang Zhong began to tell his family about some of the specific things that happened when he returned to the capital. After the booklet, sand table, and the rental tax were sent, the imperial court discussed it for many days before approving the matter of Chang Lizho. It was snowing at night. Zhang Zhong hugged Zhang Wang clan and felt the warmth of home. He said softly, I heard that the winter in the south is not cold at all. There are pearls by the sea. I'll make you a beautiful necklace. Pay attention to adjusting your physical strength. Lower your body a little, form a figure 8 with your feet, bend your legs, and use your peripheral vision to feel the things around you. Focus, don't put all your focus on one leg. Even if you're jogging, tie the straps of your backpack yourself. It has to be just right. On Yaowang Mountain, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan each carried a backpack and held a foot-long bayonet in their hands. They led 56 people to train. Wang Wan taught the 56 people as they walked. The 56 people listened as they walked. They controlled their bodies and tried their best to meet the requirements. Now they didn't have much strength. The food was good, but they couldn't stand it if they didn't rest. During the day, they practiced in the morning and swam in the afternoon. They didn't know what the little girl was going to do today. At night, even if it was still snowing, they didn't rest. They were taken to the mountain carrying a big bag of things and kept on walking. In the middle of the night, the sky was dark. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were surrounded by 56 people. They kept on jogging. They had been jogging for 2 hours, and there was no sign of stopping. The two of them were tired, but their willpower was different. When it was midnight, Wang Wan finally touched Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao knew that Wang Wan didn't have the strength to shout, so he helped to shout, "Stop, rest and eat." 56 people finally stopped. Not caring if the ground was cold or not, they sat down and brought their backpacks in front of them. They took out the wrapped smoked chicken and rice wine in bamboo tubes, eating and drinking at the same time. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan first gave each other a massage, and then took out their food to eat. There was some beef jerky, a tube of juice and a big steamed bun with pickled vegetables inside. Today is the first day, you can eat as much as you want. Go back later and have a good sleep. Wait until noon tomorrow, you will leave here. I will take you to Fragrant Hill to play. Crossbows and other weapons have been prepared for you. Tomorrow, change into new clothes, put sand in your backpacks and put your food in the pockets of your clothes. You only have 3 days of food and water. When you arrive at Fragrant Hill after eating, find a way to find your own food. Those who can't persevere, go back to the inner courtyard. You are the strong Team 0 of Team Meow. The team only needs the strong. Cowards can go to other places to do things. Zhang Xiaobao took a bite of the steamed bun and ate some pickled vegetables. He said to the 56 people who had blurred eyes and wanted to sleep. The 56 people were shocked at the same time. Most of their sleepiness disappeared, and they became alert. They tried to drink as little as possible. They were afraid that they would be driven back. They couldn't afford to lose face. There was a new protector, and they would lose their identity as protectors. If they were driven back, would they say that they couldn't keep up when the new protector asked them? Zhang Xiaobao nodded with satisfaction. Now, I will teach you some simple skills. The first is sleep. Don't underestimate this sleep. At critical times, if you can rest for a while in a special environment, you will have a chance to survive. Cuckoo and I have practiced sleeping well. Now we can sleep at any time and wake up at any time. The 56 people listened attentively. Zhang Xiaobao patiently explained how to adjust their bodies. For example, what to lean on when standing to sleep, the center of gravity and the angle of the body, what was deep sleep, what was light sleep, how to cultivate the sense of danger, and how to wake up on time when sleeping, etc. Zhang Xiaobao had done a lot of research in this area. He first explained the general theory, and then he would take it slow when the time came. Especially for the dangerous training, he would arrange special things to put the 56 people in a half-asleep state. The 56 people were already sleepy. When they heard Zhang Xiaobao talking about sleeping methods, they all felt their eyelids become heavier and heavier. Wang Wan took advantage of this time to take a nap. Okay, that's about it. After resting for a quarter of an hour, we will set off and go back. Zhang Xiaobao felt that it was about time. He called out to the 56 people and leaned against Wang Wan to sleep. The 56 people yawned. Feeling the cold weather, they all began to eat and drink. After a quarter of an hour, Zhang Xiaobao woke up first. Wang Wan also opened her eyes, put on her backpack, and began to lead the group back. When they came, they didn't walk slowly. When they went back, because they were full and had a day of exercise, the 56 people walked until 4:45 in the morning. Only then did they return to the foot of the mountain, enter the house, quickly take off their wet clothes, and lie down to sleep. The next day, Zhang Zhong rushed over when it was almost noon. He wanted to have a good talk with his son. As a result, it was exactly 1:45. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan led the group and set off. This time, like last night, they didn't bring any servants. All the way to Fragrant Mountain, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan sat in the carriage and took turns to drive. Looking at the 56 people behind them, Zhang Xiaobao opened his backpack and explained to everyone. This small knife is used to deal with animals or fish. In the same bag, there is a smaller steel knife used to cut off the dead skin when you are injured. Don't mix them up. The small bamboo tube contains cotton soaked in alcohol. There is also a small tweezer. When the time comes, use the tweezer to pick it up and use it to wipe the wound and the small knife. He remembered that when there was alcohol cotton wool in the small knife, it could not touch the wound directly. If there was no alcohol cotton wool, it had to be roasted with fire first. This small bamboo tube was filled with salt. There was only salt and no other seasonings. These few packets of medicine were made by the doctor of the main house to treat injuries and illnesses. This paper packet contains dried meat, which can be used to satisfy hunger. There are also some dehydrated vegetables and special compressed biscuits. Everything added up except for the salt is only enough for you to eat for 3 days. If you eat sparingly, you can eat more. The small gourd contains wine, which is very strong. When you feel weak, drink a mouthful. In addition, the most important thing is these black things extracted from opium poppies. When you are injured and in pain, you can eat a little. When you want to force yourself to continue doing things, you can eat a little. Remember to control yourself. If you eat too much of this thing, you will become addicted. Use it at a critical moment. Zhang Xiaobao was also wearing clothes with many pockets. Every time he said something, he put it in a suitable place. The speed of the carriage slowed down so that the 56 people could slowly follow and stuff the things into the pockets of their clothes. A bag of things seemed to have a lot of things, but they could all be stuffed in. When there was only an empty bag left, the 56 people began to put the sand from the carriage into the bag. Each person put in 10 pounds. In addition to this heavy bag, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also made small sandbags of 2 pounds each for the 56 people. These sandbags could be wrapped around the hands and ankles of the 56 people. These things added up to a total of 30 pounds. There were also weapons which added up to about 40 pounds. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't use these sandbags because they were still young. In the beginning, they didn't think much of carrying 40 caddies of items. However, after walking for 4 hours, the 56 of them finally understood how burdensome these items were. Each of them was sweating profusely, and their clothes were also soaked. Wang Wan took Zhang Xiaobao's place to drive the carriage. She was holding 2 3-inch wide ropes in her hands. To be precise, they were thick patches, the kind that were made of canvas. Are you tired? Xiaobao, stop the carriage first. I will teach you how to put on the leggings. These leggings can't be tied all the time. You can put them on when needed. With this, you can feel more relaxed when walking and have more explosive power. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.